Then we have an unplugged refrigerator and a mic that's far away from Rachel and I.
24 inches.
24 inches away. So this is a very professional setup that we've got here.
Incredibly professional. I mean, we spared no expense.
We really spared no expense.
Does that line show up anywhere in the book?
I think if someone else says it.
Maybe you're
though.
right. Maybe Gennaro.
That's what I really like about the screenplay, and we'll talk about it, is that I think the screenplay of the movie does a really good job of shifting lines of dialogue around to make it better.
Because there's so many to choose from.
That's true. There's a lot of words in this 400-page book. Where is it? Let's see it. Let's see the book.
Oh,
The
sorry.
physical book.
For all of our audio medium,
Yeah.
we're going to look at a book.
Give us some ASR. There it is. Yep,
Yeah,
there
hold
we
on,
go.
hold on.
There we go. Gonna peek the eye. Oh, yeah.
Star Wars, Transformers, Godzilla, animation, whatever else. Rebels, robots, and etc.
Well, Mr. Caleb, my dear Miss Rachel, welcome to Junerassic Pod.
If we're going to get copyrighted, can we just play the real music?
Rebels and robots.
Ooh.
Starformers. Oh, we gotta add Jurassic Park in there. Starformers.
No, I don't think we should.
Park Night.
Raw firmers. Well, isn't it Rebels, Robots, and RAR? Isn't that the...
No, it's been etc. for a while.
I mean, whenever we would do Godzilla, it'd be Rebels and Robots and RAR. When we do animation, it's Rebels and Robots and rotoscoping.
Oh, we have to go back to
or rendering. But
about...
we do Starformers Night. But if we do Godzilla, we do Starformers Zilla Night.
How about Rarbles and...
I don't know which one we do at this point.
Rarbles and
I think it's Starformers
Larbots.
Park. I think Starformers Park is the way to go.
Starformers Park.
We do have an unleashed genetic nightmare in the background running around. It's not Caleb, I meant Athena.
With one bite, it paralyzes you and makes you... Actually, she lays on you and you just slowly fall asleep, just like...
I actually had a dream that I was suffocating one night. And I woke up, she was standing on my sternum.
That checks out.
Look at her.
Well, I was going to sing it, but I guess we're just going to say it now. It's Starformers Park Night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots. I mean, there's nothing better than RAR, I think. And is there a dinosaur that starts with the letter R?
Yeah. But I don't know about in this book. I don't think so, because we've got
Rahasaurus.
Rahasaurus?
I don't trust you to pronounce that.
Rebeccasaurus, Rohondodon, Rhodosaurus.
That's the one designed by Honda, I think, right?
Rogops? Wow. So none of these are good. Is there a character in Jurassic Park?
I don't think we can do. I mean, Raptidon isn't bad at all.
Oh, Raptors! What are we doing, you guys? You failed. What is wrong? But also, this Les failed me. What? Everyone just forgot the Raptors.
Well,
it's Rebels and Robots and Raptors, episode 80. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Caleb.
And Caleb's here with us for the first time in almost 2 years. And this is, for the 2 months, it's been weekly chat. So we normally bi-weekly, then we had month door, and then I took a vacation, and now we're back for, actually we decided before, it is going to be a bi-weekly chat. We were originally going to do, each week of June, we were going to do Jurassic Park movies, but we decided to push the Jurassic World movies to July, so that's going to be Jurassic World. But Junerassic Park is going to be just the Jurassic Park films this week. The original, the good one. Not just the film, though. Our first book club is also today. Pod Club, Bookcast. What do we think?
Bookcast. I like Bookcast. That might be copyrighted. I'm sure someone's done that by now. That's too clever.
But this is usually a bi-weekly chat about Star Wars and
Transformers.
And
whatever else
we both want to talk about, and Caleb's here. We will bring on a friend to talk about the subject. He's also going to talk a little bit Star Wars. We're going to have him share a little bit about Andor, whatever he thought. But first, as always, news, woos, and booze. I'm excited to get off. So I actually have a little bit of podcast content from my vacation. I brought back a gift for Rachel. It's a pin. It's a Mandalorian pin.
That's
But
cool.
also, I got it mostly because it has the Imperial logo at the top. And that is how you click. Yeah, there we go. We got ASMR all over this episode.
You bought something with an imperial sigil in Germany?
Oh no!
Oh, brother. I'm sure the irony was not lost on them.
Tug's collar. That's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, great. I gave her a toy to ruin it.
Oh, yeah. I have
Your
you
quality.
probably hear it. I have a bad habit of fidgeting with things on my table, mostly coins, and I drop them.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about.
I had to move my jar of coins.
While on the topic of my my vacation, I only had two small podcast content things. One, when I was in downtown Berlin, I saw a guy wearing a Godzilla shirt. That was pretty funny. Pretty small though.
Culture.
But we went to a Vietnamese restaurant, and this was in the menu. It's Po
It's
from Kung Fu
Comrade
Panda in a bowl. Like, oh no, he's like looking over a bowl. It's kind of hard. It looks like initially it looks like he's in the bowl, but he's actually behind the bowl.
Copyright is chasing them, but they are faster.
And that red star, he looks like Comrade Poe is what it looks like.
I saw that too.
Comrade Panda.
Oh, brother.
So that's what I have from my 2-week vacation. I didn't do a lot of podcast content hunting, but there it is.
I think that gets some woos.
Ooh,
Get some woos.
Yeah, I mean you got a free pen, so that's always a woo.
That's a bribe.
I have one piece of art, and I think
Okay.
it might be some of the best news I've received all year personally.
Okay.
Star Wars Celebration announced that there will be an Art of Star Wars and/or book coming out in 2026. It's going to cover both seasons.
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
I'm thrilled. I will be pre-ordering that.
I'm not surprised. If you know anything about Rachel, you know that she loves concept art books. So
You know I like spending money.
yeah.
I actually have a news. This
Oh, also, the concept art gets a woo for
the
sure.
concept art definitely gets a woo. This is so barely a story, but my wife and I who just moved back to this area in Doxed.
Insert like a Tyrannosaurus roar or something.
Oh yeah. I think I took notes about what we're using this
Yeah.
episode. We're trying out churches in the area. We went to one, and on the other state that borders this state.
In the tri-state area.
In the tri-state area, that's right. And Doofenshmirtz was there as well. That was really weird.
Wow, I'm glad to know he's finding Christ.
Yeah.
The Salvation of Nature.
It's a cross.
Oh, brother. But the pastor wasn't there, which is fun. Instead, we had a guest
weird.
pastor, but he
Does he
had
live
he had a video where he was presenting. And I know nothing about the pastor, but he was presenting. He was giving an introduction to the speaker, and behind him he had a whole shelf, and it was all just Star Wars action figures on the shelf, and they were all in boxes. And I thought Rachel would appreciate that. They weren't like huge
idolatry
guys,
just
but it
there on
was-
display.
They were all just
like my kind of
various
church.
different stormtroopers of different
That's
kinds.
cool.
And so,
Oh, that's way more concerning.
and so, anyways, I was like, "Oh, podcast content. There you go."
Yeah, absolutely. For a second, I just thought you were telling a story, and I forgot that it would have to somehow connect back to the podcast by the end.
They were just like,
good.
"Oh, the guest can just talk whatever
Yeah,
he wants."
I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
Hey,
Well, I will eventually stop you, but at the beginning, I guess I won't.
if you go back, you can take a picture of mine and just show it to him.
That's true. I don't know if we're gonna go back though. I really don't know.
I mean, they kind of peaked with the Star Wars content. Like, it's not going to get better.
Theology.
So we have a very special offer given to the Rebels and Robots and Etc. Instagram page. This is what the message reads.
I'm afraid.
Hello, this is Emma from @fuzzycats.official. Your profile caught our eye. We are a world-famous brand of toys and clothing for dogs/cats, accessories for dog/cat accessories. We really like your partner. And we believe that he's photogenic. misgendered our producer. We would love to offer him 4 free gifts to represent our brand. All we ask is for you to publish a post with a photo wearing the gifts so we can share them with our 400,000 plus Instagram page. Cat emoji. Please drop us a message on our... Okay, then, yeah. Let's embark on a journey of empowerment and style together, creating extraordinary creations.
Empowerment?
Yeah. What do you think? Should we start shilling for this? Fuzzy cats.
If we do, because Athena's a minor, any pictures we post for her on Instagram need to have an emoji over her face.
Well, I promise
I didn't realize we were employing a minor. What?
Yeah.
I promise my wife was not the one who sent you.
Oh, yeah.
Labor's cheap, sorry.
So the real question is, we have never posted an image of the cat. We have never...
Does that mean someone else listened to her?
Yeah, I see. The thing is, how do they know that there's a cat? Is it just random? Is it just an accident? Or, like, is it just in our metadata somewhere? Because we, like, posted one video one time, like, 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh, of Athena with the Optimus Prime filter.
Yeah. Oh, did we also post a video of her trying to get into the podcast bag?
Huh, yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, I see this as a win-win situation. You get some free outfits for Athena. Who knows where this ends up?
Yeah, I'm going to need them to send them in dog size.
Yeah, I think we should claim that Athena is a dog and say, here's the pictures of stuff on our dog. He loves it.
He loves it.
It's her like tearing it off. Do you have other news?
That was it.
Okay.
That is all I got.
So this is not news, but this is just a reference to something that happened last night while the 3 of us were texting about the podcast, specifically arguing about to what detail Rachel was going to go into about the differences between...
I wasn't arguing. I was staying.
I was arguing. I was fighting out against it. Simultaneously, Rachel, or our friend of the podcast, Megan, asked a question about Andor, and Rachel just went off, just like so many text messages.
I didn't mean to go off.
It was great. I mean, it was a very thorough explanation, but like, I didn't even get a chance to even say anything because Rachel was sending so many texts. It was a very thorough explanation of who Saw Gerrera is and what is his relationship to the rest of the rebels.
Strained.
She got a whole Wikipedia article, Wikipedia article given to her.
She got Gerrera.
She did, though.
I almost made
That's
that.
a good point.
The last text I wanted to send, because she was like, thank you for your help, Spy Face. I almost wanted to say, get Gerrera, but I didn't.
So before we move on to the main topic for today, I'd love to hear, Caleb, what you thought about Andor Season 2. Just general thoughts or anything specific thoughts?
Yeah. Overall thoughts, I like it. I think I differ from this podcast in how much I like it. I think that it's weaker than Season 1, mostly. I think that my big argument distills down to the 1-year time jump. I think over each arc, the show gets weaker and weaker specifically because of that time jump. I think it's fine the first time they do the jump, but I think each time they do it, we lose so much in between, and I feel like they scramble so much to condense the rest. That's the biggest glaring issue I have with it. I really appreciate listening to your take on the ending. I really appreciate how much it touched you guys. It didn't touch me nearly as much. I thought it was fine. I definitely agree with the part where they get a lot more just setting up Rogue One. I definitely felt that the entirety of the last scene. I thought the scene with Bix was touching but not moving for me, but I definitely, like, on the second rewatch, I could see how that could change for sure. Anything else? Actually, I can appreciate your take on the twist where Cyril almost changes his mind and then gets killed, but I was more frustrated than anything. I felt like my time had been wasted with Cyril with the way that he ended up going. That was my take on that. I thought, I really appreciate your take on Deidre mirroring. Who did you say that she mirrored?
It was, man, it's been
Kira,
3 weeks and I can't remember any character name. Luthen's Clea, yes.
Clea, that particular take really helped reframe and actually elevate my opinion of what they ended up doing with Deidre and Clea. So I was very impressed by
Jail.
that. Yes. That was my overall take. I think season one's stronger. I don't think anyone quite touches Andy Serkis's performance, but that's not particularly controversial. I really appreciated your moment about the character, your bit about which character grew on you the most, you were most surprised about. I think for me it had to be Cyril, because I did not like him season one. I really didn't enjoy anything about him. And then he was my favorite part of season two. Up until his last episode. I think it goes back to that main argument I have where the 1 year time jump, I think we lose so much in between. And my other take I'll share is that the ending of whichever arc it is that they kill the doctor, the one who tortured
That was the
Bix.
end of the second.
Yes,
arc, I believe.
Episode 6.
have to hard disagree with the take on that one. I think that ending comes out of nowhere. I find it difficult because up until that point in the season, the doctor has only appeared in flashbacks. And so as an audience member, I haven't had any context to know that this is a real event. And so
That's fair.
I don't know. And it seems there's so little setup anyways, because you talk about the light comes on and there's so much that the audience has to guess about anyways. I think it could have been fine if there had been more to set up that this isn't a dream or something like that. And so I found it to have, it didn't really pay. It felt like it was a cheap payoff almost. And just another thing that I felt like was a result of just that 1 year gimmick. And I understand that he had a vision where, he really had to condense a lot of seasons into just one. And so I appreciate what he did, but I think that ultimately weakened the overall season.
Rachel had a lot of faces throughout all that. Yeah, I'm just curious if you have any responses.
I've been hearing that critique a lot about the time jump, but I do think it's interesting sometimes when a critique is there wasn't enough, which I think does say good things about a show to a point like we need more. As I kind of reflect on that Bix arc, I think I'm leaning a little bit in your camp as well, because I think it's also hard with the juxtaposition of her doing that, going all in. Sorry, fidgeted and I broke something on the table. Not the pen you gave me, it's a different pencil. With the juxtaposition of her leaving 3 episodes, well, it would have been a year. So there was time between. But I think with that time jump, it is like, boss girl, all with Luthen, and then she leaves. So I go back and forth on it. It would have been interesting, maybe, as you were saying, if maybe they had seen him somewhere. Like in Coruscant, because obviously he was there.
Yeah, that's all you needed to do is see the doctor. Just to know, the audience just needed to be established
that he's there.
That he's actually present, not just in a nightmare.
I know the ISB mentioned him once, maybe in episodes 4 or 5, saying, well, they were so impressed with his work that they were bringing him for it. Basically, he's going to train a bunch of ISB people to do it.
Yeah, I suppose.
But it's very quick because it comes right before... I'm fairly certain the calibrate your enthusiasm comment, which just totally takes the cake on that whole scene.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I think the season peaks with the first arc. I think the first arc is the best, which is funny because I feel like Andor is treading water. That although I do like there's moments.
The wedding arc?
Yeah, I really like the wedding arc. I think I think the Mothma plus what Mothma's doing and what Cyril's doing. I think those 2 arcs are the most fun. Andor is sitting on his hands that entire 3 arc, which is unfortunate. I'm trying to think if there's any other arc that really, the whole arc as a whole, I enjoy this much. There's moments of the second arc. I love Andor in disguise. I'll admit on the podcast I was wrong about the the basis of that. It definitely comes off as French after more listening to it. So I appreciate that world and Andor as a secret agent in that world. But I think that first arc was at least where I thought the show was most solid.
There's a clip with Deidre and Cyril's date with his mom, where Cyril just says, "Mother, you're dripping," in relation to her eating. They have screen grabbed that, and because the costumes are so good. So you're on the internet, but I don't know if you're on the internet as much as I am.
Not that much, no.
The term drip, when you have good...
Oh, I see.
So people will just post that in relation to all the posts about Vanity Fair and or Mother, you're drip. Anyways,
that's pretty great.
Okay. Now, context. Our mutual friend, Megan, loves Cyril. She does not yet know that that Cyril dies.
Yeah, she really
I
was
am-
something for that redemption arc. She's gonna be disappointed.
I am waiting for that text message.
She's gonna be furious.
So upset.
Because I can appreciate, in some theory, like the lack of redemption that he gets. I just feel like my time has been a little bit wasted. That's my only gripe about it.
I saw a comment that it's kind of an example of young, insecure men that get caught up in authoritarian government, feeling good about themselves, and then chewed up and spit out.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe the best way you have to read this. Like, I think that is the best read of what they're doing with Cyril. I just don't find that particularly satisfying as an audience.
I did love his play-by-play of the heist on Gorman when he was on the rooftop. It's where Cinta dies.
yes.
Shots fired! You know, he's playing the part. He loved it. I think probably 2 or 4 through 6 might be my weakest arc. That is the heist. That's between the wedding and then the Gorman Plaza.
Yeah, because I think I just like what Andor's doing. I think, and everything else is very okay, but it's like, oh, Andor's looking, Cassian's looking pretty slick, and I like, maybe I just like his outfit. Maybe that's the whole thing, and I think he's, and it's fun hearing him critique the rebels too. That's really fun. Seeing him as, he's clearly in. Yeah, or even
Those
like
journalists.
He knows what he's doing at this point, and so he's able to critique. And so that kind of thing. Actually, this is a nice tease for maybe going into Jurassic Park. But this notion of like competence on display, I found to really enjoy the moment. And so Andor as like competent, I found that very entertaining.
The conversation of competence on display in relation to Jurassic Park.
I do have one last thing. I'm trying to find it. I found this really interesting image discussing Andor, specifically season 2, I think.
Jurassic incomparketency.
Oh man. But I was going to say also in relationship to what I really appreciate your analysis. And ever since I started doing film reviews in high school, I've always, in putting out my own opinion about media, my main desire is to
Be right.
Yeah, that's it, and that's why I'm kicking Rachel out. So it's just me now.
You squatter, this is my home.
I want to help people maybe see things they didn't see. So I'm really glad that our analysis of the parallels between
Clea and Deidre.
Clea and Deidre, thank you, was helpful for you. But also, more than anything, I just want to hoping that me discussing my viewpoint helps people themselves engage with it more and just themselves formulate opinions. And so I'm just glad that you're you're watching it and you're enjoying it, and that our podcast is kind of spurring you on to hopefully think more about these things. So that makes me really, really happy.
I'll add as just maybe something about this podcast in general is you all tend to be much more charitable than I would be about most media. And so there is a common effect where you'll point out something about the podcast and I'll go, about a film, and I'll be like, oh, I guess that is nice. And I'll like it a little bit more than I would otherwise.
Aw.
Yeah, that's funny. I feel the same way when I listen to most podcasts. And I think once you're on mic, once you're actually like putting your opinions out there's a little bit of a sense of responsibility to be a little more fair, to not just brutally attack things unfairly. We will gladly brutally attack things. I am actually kind of looking forward to Jurassic World Rebirth being bad because
no.
and I know Jurassic World 2 and 3 are bad, and we're gonna just dump on those.
5 and 6.
Jurassic World 2 and 3.
Oh.
But so yeah, the moment you're on microphone, you're actually putting your opinions out there. I do at least feel a sense to just be a little more, just to give something a fair shake, to point out things I do like and not be so harsh. Because it is a lot of the time. There's a lot of people putting a lot of effort in.
Unless it was Bad Batch season 3.
Well, at that point, these people have been making it for a long time, and they should know better.
Or Monarch.
As Vale would say, we tore the shit out of that place.
I think we were just tired of Monarch more than just like super critical of it. Like we liked parts of it. It just went on for so long.
The Godzilla parts.
Yeah.
8 minutes.
So this image I found parallels the different deaths of different characters that were villainous, obviously, but also. Please go ahead.
Are we moving straight into Jurassic Park?
No, this is Andor. This is still Andor. Characters who, yes, were villainous, but also kind of died for no reason and died without like a conclusion or reaching their goal, versus our heroes who didn't. Yeah, actually, I'm realizing now that's actually not. It is actually just heroes and villains. heroes who are more villainous when they're found dead, that their eyes are still open, and the characters that were heroes when they die, their eyes are closed, which is a really interesting. I mean, this seems to be there's 4 examples here. On the eyes closed side, you have. I'm going to totally forget character names. What is this gentleman's name here in the top? Brasso, and then this is Cinna, right? Or Cena? Cinta. Thank you. And man, it's been so long.
I did find out apparently.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember his name. Jung, right? It's not Jung?
Yes. That's his last name.
Lonnie and Luthen.
And then Luthen. All had their eyes closed, and then Bix's boyfriend from season 1.
I just thought of Roy from The Office. Tim.
Is that really his name? His name was just Tim?
With 2 M's.
With 2 M's.
Interesting. And then the Imperial spy who tried to kill Mon Mothma, and then Cyril, and then the Imperial officer who was in charge trying to hunt down Andor on Coruscant. They all have their eyes open.
Or hair. You know, I find that interesting because they have a scene on Gorman during the Plaza Massacre where the KX droid throws Ryland's daughter. Mm-hmm. Her eyes are open when she dies.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry, not to pick apart.
No, I appreciate an exception there. So I do like the idea, at least of visual imagery of eyes closed at death and eyes open and how that can be used. But yeah, that is a good example that kind of contradicts it.
So the rebels are actually evil. That's what the Imperial apologists on Facebook are going to say.
So anyways, Jurassic Park, the reason we're all here.
Yes. Physically.
So I think let's discuss the book a bit. Let's do our first ever book club. Written by Michael Crichton. Do we know what year the book came out?
1990, I believe. The movie's 93, and the book is in 1990, I believe.
And from what I understand, it's a hit book at the time, really popular. Michael Crichton, if you don't know, very famous science fiction author, way before this, from like the late 60s or definitely the 70s.
Congo.
That's the one you go to is Congo.
I was going to go with Andromeda Strain.
Congo's actually
Andromeda Strain is the one that made him famous, I believe, was his first one.
I didn't even know Congo was a book. I knew it was a country.
Congo.
He also wrote Westworld, which is now a really famous TV show.
And the TV show twice, I think. Maybe it was just a movie.
Well, there was a movie, and then there was a TV show. But there's also there's so many 90s TV shows everyone forgot about.
There's also a book he wrote that he died before he could finish called Volcano. That I bought. I have it.
Yeah.
I think it was finished by maybe James Patterson, which is either probably one of his 76 ghostwriters. So we'll see if it's any good.
And he's wrote a bunch of other books that have been adapted into film and television. Sphere, which I've read the book, never seen the movie. He actually created ER, which is crazy. Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park. There's not a Jurassic. There's only 2 books. The book Eaters of the Dead became 13th Warrior. I've never seen the film The Great Train Robbery, but the book is also really good. Timeline, terrible movie, but really fun book about time travel. This is Twister. Was he involved with Twister, the movie from the 90s?
I don't know, but he wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, he wrote the screenplay for Twister. I did not know that. Oh, this is based on characters created by. So did he write a book? Hold on. What is his relationship to Twister?
Twisters.
Twister.
Should we have Michael Crichton Summer? Hot Michael Crichton Summer.
Hot Michael Crichton Summer.
Let's see.
No,
is this?
Yeah.
He wrote a book. I did not know that. Wow, that's crazy.
He was making bank.
Yeah, you mentioned Congo,
which is kind of similar to Jurassic Park,
except for it's
monkeys in
Oh, is that what inspired Nope?
No, it didn't. And so he's done a ton of stuff, and I love him a lot. Just great ideas. He himself was a scientist, so what I found is in a lot of his books, the first 100 pages are just explaining the science for the most part. You have to kind of get through the first 100 pages to get to the actual story. But once you get there, it's good. I think, let's just say, okay, how do we want to do this? Do you just want to rattle off some?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing to talk about is I think we'll just start with the character differences first of all. So when it comes to the book and the movie, the characters are the same for the most part. As in typical book fashion, there are far more in the book than in the movie. The movie, they are far more condensed. So we have Alan Grant, who he's 40 in the book. Dr. Alan Grant.
How old is he supposed to be in the film? Because this brings up an important question because the book explicitly states that he is not in a relationship with Sattler.
And it explicitly states Ellie is engaged in the book to a doctor.
And she's 24.
And she's 24.
Yes. And
his student.
And in the film, they kind of are an item.
They explicitly say they are, actually.
Well, he tells
Ian Malcolm
that he is, but that could be interpreted as him just trying to.
They use the term honey for one another multiple times, twice. Actually, I noticed.
I would say it is. As I was saying, they're kind of an item. They're not like kissing. They never kiss. There's not like an overtly romantic moment.
It's almost like a little bit more than platonic, but not romantic. Whatever that medium is. But anyways.
Well, there's a really weird moment I'd never noticed before. Their first scene together at the beginning of the movie, they're walking away from the camera. And Grant kind of almost goes like put his hand on her waist or like grab her butt, and then he pulls back. I don't know if that's just a random acting moment or that's very intentional, but like he goes to touch her and then pulls away. So like I don't know if that's supposed to be indicative of he doesn't even know where they're at.
I don't know, but anyways, our two main characters we've got Ian Malcolm, who is pretty much the same except they've made him less pretentious in the movie.
They've just chopped off most of his dialogue.
Yeah,
that's only by virtue of how incredibly pretentious he is in the book.
Probably far more attractive in the movie than he is in the book. We do have the lawyer, Gennaro. I can't remember his first name.
Donald Gennaro.
Donald Gennaro. Far different than his movie counterpart. He is younger in the book. He's a pretty fit guy. And as we'll talk later, survives.
And also pretty generic character. Like he is such a distinct character in the film, the lawyer. They kind of end up combining him with another character, which I'm sure you're about to mention.
Yes. So we have John Hammond, who is in the book awful. Profit over people, not nearly the amount of whimsy or care as in the movie.
Correct.
We have Muldoon, the big game hunter, who also survives. In the book versus the movie. Sorry, I'm probably getting into spoilers, but if you haven't seen Jurassic Park at this point,
get good.
Watch a movie for once.
Actually, Emma might be watching it to listen to this podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry, Emma. I'm sorry.
She's seen it before. But...
okay, Emma, stop. Watch the movie and come back. We have the kids are a bit different. So in the movie, you've got Lex and Tim, the grandkids. They are his grandkids. They are him and his grandkids in the book, but their ages are switched. Tim is older. Lex is younger.
Tim is almost the same character.
Well, yeah.
He's almost
just
nearly
younger.
identical character. Oh, and sorry.
And he's good with computers, which is the one thing
that's right. They gave that to Lex.
Lex in the movie doesn't.
She is just there to yell at the dinosaurs.
Ooh, I would hard disagree with this take. I think Lex has way more agency in the movie than in the book.
Agency for sure.
Sorry, I was talking about the book.
Oh, yes.
That in the book, she's only there to yell at the dinosaurs because she's a little girl and has nothing to do.
Yes.
So that's the thing that they switched.
Talking about the kids, sorry, I meant to bring this up when we were talking about Dr. Grant. In the book, he very overtly likes kids.
Yes, he does not hate kids in the book.
And they hard pivot, and I think it's an incredible choice in the film to make him not like kids, and he has to learn to like the kids. And that makes it, actually, I think it makes him more endearing in the movie, is that as you see him learn to like the kids, because they are annoying. And so you as an audience member are kind of more on his side, but as he even though he doesn't like them, he quickly protects them. He is like the hero of the movie. I just think it's a great choice.
I would say it definitely works out because I think specifically of the kids, the switch, because Lex is so much younger in the book. I think Kind Grant balances that out in the book too.
That's true.
But anyway, sorry.
I'll add to this, one of my takes on the movie on what Spielberg has done is that the movie becomes Grant's movie. And so in the book, Alan Grant is a paragon, and that's pretty boring on a film set.
Can you define that for us? I don't know what that word is.
Paragon is a literary archetype for a character who always makes the right decision. They don't really undergo any growth.
Sure.
They're just always right. Like classic Superman is typically that's the go-to for that kind of thing. Although Zack Snyder and all of them want to do other things with him, but like that's the kind of character, and it works in Jurassic Park because it's in the book. I should say, because it's a lot more of an ensemble. All of the characters are mostly clinical scientists and things like that, and they're just trying to survive. Whereas I think Spielberg, as you said rightly, changes it to be more approachable for families by giving a character arc for Grant that's not there by growing to like kids.
To defend the book just a little bit, he does the very end. It's kind of crazy how up until the end this book goes. It's 400 pages, and it just keeps going. It's not like it doesn't have like a 50-page wind down. It just is like over like that. Like I had 10 pages left to read today, and I was like, they're still on the island fighting dinosaurs. What the heck?
And I'll actually say I think that's a weak point in the book. I think it should cut. I think Spielberg cuts it at the right moment.
What I will defend the book a little bit though is Grant does at the end have a awareness of we really thought we knew dinosaurs just because we had the bones, but in analyzing the live animals, he does come to admit that that was just hubris. And it's not a huge moment; it's just self-reflective. But I think there was at least a little bit of him having some sort of arc at the end. You're mostly right, I think, but there's just a little bit.
Yeah.
If I would push back, I'd say he is the one who demonstrates like the proper humility and reverence for dinosaurs the entire time. And so maybe I'd say I don't know if that's a huge growth moment for him. And he's mostly like just a foil to like him and Hammond. Hammond's whatever the opposite of a paragon is. Like he always makes the wrong choice. He's just a
antagonist. The other characters are relatively the same. You have Wu, you have Dennis Nedry, you've got Lewis Dodgson, who is mentioned. Guy from Biosyn. The other character that doesn't really show up because they made Gennaro his part in the movie is Ed Regis. And we'll talk about him for a little bit.
He's just an HR guy.
No, was he HR? I thought he
was.
No, PR.
He was PR.
He had a PR. And he just complained in the book about getting stuck with odd jobs. So he's the one who's stuck with watching the kids. He's the one who runs off and then gets killed. He
was the one present when the construction workers were injured. That is like shown at the beginning, but of the movie.
Oh,
instead
I see.
They do Muldoon in the movie. But
Ooh, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about
rules.
a little bit about the movie. So.
Well, we forgot one character as well, who I'm actually quite frustrated.
John Arnold?
Yeah, we forgot John Arnold, who becomes Ray Arnold for no reason.
Are you serious? I didn't catch that.
He's Ray in the movie.
I really made my wife Allison laugh because I said his only character trait in the book is that he smokes a lot, and then once you zero in on that, you realize how he's never seen not smoking in the film.
his only trait in the movie is hold on to your butts, which he says
so good.
Twice.
I always forget that he says it twice.
I think they do him dirty. That's my take for the night. Is I think Arnold is my favorite character of the book, and I think he's done. So
I don't think he has much to do in the book. Like
I think he rules.
I love him in the movie because it's Sam Jackson. What about him in the book do you like?
So this leads into my bigger read of Jurassic Park. So I'll tee this up a little bit, but John Arnold is the best example of there is a class of characters, secondary characters, who are hyper competent at their field and are wildly overburdened by a terrible manager by Hammond. And so in one sense you can read Jurassic Park as like this tragedy of the skilled working man. And so when I was reading it this time, I was actually genuinely sad that the park fails. Like my favorite part was the moment before the auxiliary power goes off, and especially like Arnold is putting things back together, and I think that this is fantastic. Like seeing them solve problems and seeing really excellence seem to succeed. I find that extremely rewarding. So going back to my earlier comment about competence, and John Arnold is the competent person in this series. He was on submarines. He was an engineer in submarines, and then he worked on all the parks. And he is single-handedly the only reason why the first half of the book there's anything that gets saved.
But he's also the one who forgets to turn the main power switch back to the main power. He's the reason
they've never had to
they stay on auxiliary power. in the book, and then that ends up causing the biggest issues at the end of the film or the end of the book.
Right.
Is that they were running on auxiliary power. The auxiliary power runs out, and they're screwed.
But then it's like he's been like working for like 14 hours without sleep, you know. So or like
It's a mistake as a result of being overworked.
yeah, exactly. You know, like it's not like if it was just him and he was in charge of leading things, like things would have been different.
Let me suggest to you a little TV show that we like to call Chernobyl. I think does that way better. I think that's an interesting concept. I think it's definitely present in the book.
I think they lose in the movie. I don't think it's at all part of the movie.
I think that Athena has something to say about your analysis of the novel. She has never been that loud before.
Let her talk.
She's making velociraptor noises.
Talk.
Those are some bird-like noises down there. That is ridiculous. That's what an old car sounds like early in the morning.
But yeah, so lots of I want to say like differences in the characters aside of like maybe like personality changes. The beats are kind of the same, and I'm not going to fault the. Yes.
Oh, I'd make one comment to that.
Yes.
The Hammond has changed totally.
Well, I was going to say he's entirely changed, and we can. I'm interested. I want to talk a little bit more about him because I have some interesting quotes from him that are just abhorrent. But
they go in the hms.
Yeah, they go in the L's. L grandpa, L man. There are a couple of plot beats that I wanted to talk about in the beginning that are, I think, that are cut from the movie that provide some interesting context. If you guys are ready to move on,
Sure.
So if you have seen The Lost World. Spoilers if you haven't seen The Lost World.
Which is the second movie and book.
And we'll talk about this again, or we'll at least reference it a little bit. Book...
Real quick, I started watching the second movie last night. The actual title card in the movie, it is one line, Lost World, second line, Jurassic Park, no colon. So theoretically, it is implying that the title is with no punctuation, Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So the beginning of Lost World begins with a pretty infamous scene of a little girl on a beach in Costa Rica getting bitten. I think the implication is that she's been swarmed and eaten by procompsognathids, compies for short.
Every time that this book says that word so many times, and every time I'm like, I'm not reading that.
Procompsognathids. You're welcome.
It's better as an audiobook for that reason. He'll say it for you.
And it's an infamous scene in The Lost World because when the mom comes around the corner and screams, the scene switches to Ian Malcolm yawning in a subway.
But he's in front of a... I guess they're trying to make it look like he's there because he's in front of an ad, and there's like the subway's like blowing wind on him. So they're trying to make you think that he's on an island, and then he's actually in a subway. That is the moment you know the movie is doomed because that is a awful transition out of the first scene.
So that's the start of the book, but she doesn't die. She just gets bit by this procompsognathus on the mainland.
Just say compy.
Yeah, on the compy on the mainland of Costa Rica, which starts an investigation because they get a sample, and then all the little like dinosaur researchers kind of start getting their hands in it, and they're like, well, this isn't a lizard we know. So that's kind of the first red flag.
Those chapters rule. I'm a huge fan of
it. I loved them.
I had to try to read that 2 times over the last few years. That almost stopped me from ever reading this book. If we had not done it for this podcast, that section would have stopped me from ever reading this book. I could just not get past it. It just was. I loved it. I think it's interesting in of itself. Cool. In my mind, it is so unrelated to what this book is ultimately about. Like, I think it's too plot heavy. To me, it's too literal. It's too much about the dinosaur element and much less about, like, if you're going to do the dinosaur element, get to the dinosaur element. Or there's the whole science gone array element, which I think is the most interesting thing about this book and its analysis and criticism of scientific theory and thinking.
But it plays into the end as well.
Which is, again, it's almost like 2 different plots. You have the plot of dinosaurs being off the island, and you have what's going on the island. That's why the book is 400 pages.
Ooh, and
they don't even resolve that.
You've also identified what I imagine is going to be the problem for the rest of the Jurassic Park series, is these 2 plots of dinosaurs on the island and dinosaurs off the island.
Yeah, and dinosaurs off the island are never as good.
And in the movie, it's never addressed that they're off the island.
Yes, which is a great decision, in my opinion.
But we don't get Gutierrez, so... I like him. The other kind of main plot line that kind of starts drawing our characters together is that the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, starts investigating Hammond because he's buying a lot of genetic supercomputers and he's funding very specific digs, which includes Dr. Grant's and Dr. Sattler's. They've never actually met him. The movie has him come to their trailer. It's an EPA lawyer.
Yeah, again, another great change. It's an incredible introduction to the character because he shows up in the film on a helicopter. It's blowing all the sand over their dig. Also, he teleports. The helicopter lands. It cuts to Grant walking up to the helicopter right as it's landed, and Hammond is already in the trailer.
Whimsical old man.
Also speaking in an incredibly thick Scottish accent that he has for like exactly one line of dialogue later in the movie. And that's the only time he sounds Scottish fully. Yeah.
So it's under investigation. That's when they start there's a lot of legal jargon.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I
know you.
Yeah, sure you did.
Caleb's actually our lawyer present with us today.
I'm not.
He's the official lawyer of Rebels and Robots. He's fending off
legally, I'm
copyright
not a lawyer. I'm not licensed to practice law. I have to disclaim that I'm not their lawyer.
That's why we can't get I couldn't land on a joke. That's why you can't bill us because you're not a lawyer.
The joke is that we retain a lawyer. So all this leads up to is that they're under investigation, and this is how the group gets brought to Isla Nublar, is to...
Were you just laughing about Athena still? She's going. We turn the refrigerator off.
I was just thinking
and then
about
Athena's
that.
just like,
That's what made me laugh.
let me play you the song of my people.
So basically that is why they are brought there, to reassure the stakeholders and make sure this is still going to be a viable money-making thing and that it is safe. So that's kind of what I got for the intro that I think is the most, I don't want to say most different from the movie, but the context for everything that the movie cut out, which is okay. They still include the guy getting got by the raptors, but we do miss the infamous "Shoota" line.
It's not in the book, you mean?
It's not in the book. Mm-hmm. And this leads into they actually took him onto the mainland for help, which makes the people local be like, that's weird. People don't get attacked and ripped in half practically. So similar in the book, we have Lewis Dodgson, who's in Biosyn, which is InGen's competitor, paying Dennis Nedry to steal embryos so they can market their own dinosaurs.
Except for weirdly, the book conceals Nedry's identity for that first scene.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does not. The movie keeps the book intentionally never names who. It just keeps referencing that it is a Jurassic Park employee.
It's a big man.
Yeah, I mean it's
right.
Who's a slob.
It is almost identical to the film, except for you don't know who it is. It is kept secret from you until
we got Dodgson here.
It's kept, and that is, I think, it's not until Nedry enacts his plan in the book that you actually learn he's the one, because it's kind of, you don't know who it is. In the book, is it Nedry? Is it Arnold? Is it Muldoon? You actually don't know, which I think is kind of interesting, but also is a bizarre choice.
Muldoon goes in my class of professionals. In fact, there's a trio of them that I think are managed poorly with Arnold, Muldoon, and Harding. Those are my three that I'm like it.
And it's so funny, after having read the book and then watching the movie for the first time, after reading the book, Harding is in the movie.
He's in the movie.
For one scene and has 2 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, Ed Regis is, I think, technically credited in the movie. He's he's one of the Jeep drivers.
It's just so interesting how faithful this movie is. The adaptation is to include characters that are super big in the book just to have their names. It's not like a superhero thing or a Star Wars thing where they're you'll include a character just for fan service. You don't need that random scientist to be named Harding, but they do it anyways. It is very interesting.
Also, if you got bad vibes that Lewis Dodgson was a bad guy from Biosyn, I'm not talking about his actor. His actor has done heinous things. Actually.
Okay. We don't need to go into that, I think.
But so the actor, both, and the actual character of Lewis Dodgson have done horrible things. His main thing in working with Biosyn was he created a airborne version of rabies.
Oh, that's right.
That they enacted on farmers in Chile without telling them. So Biosyn has been in super hot water. It's described as a corporation that has more lawyers than scientists because they are doing scummy stuff all the time. But all that to say, let's get to the island, because I think that's kind of it.
And it's really interesting how the book is concealing from, at least from the characters, I don't know about the audience, but concealing from the characters that they're doing dinosaurs. They're not directly telling Grant.
They're like, it's a zoo.
But then they get there and Hammond just tells them that they had, like, it's a bizarre choice to conceal it up to that point, and then he tells them, as opposed to, obviously, what is arguably the most iconic scene from the film is when they see the dinosaurs for the first time.
Yeah, because they see a dinosaur while they're coming in on the helicopter.
Oh, that's right.
And they're like,
what was
is that real? They're like, oh yeah, we have dinosaurs here. So I would say that introduction is really good in the movie.
And
I mean, it's iconic.
Maybe we can pause for a second on... I'd like to dive into Hammond for a second, because, I mean, this is part of... From his introduction to everything in the film, it's Richard Attenborough, right?
Yes, very famous actor and director himself.
Right. There's a theory, or I don't think this is a theory, this is something that Spielberg said, is he identifies with Hammond in the book as
that makes a
someone
lot of sense.
Who builds and wants to build the real thing. And I think that
goes on my list.
Rewrites Hammond because I think Spielberg's rewriting of Hammond is how Spielberg views himself in those shoes. And so I think Hammond as a character is very, and Richard Attenborough, I think it's intentional that a director was chosen to play this lead, right?
Yeah,
this lead of a creator. And so he's charming, and he's very selfless at multiple points in the movie, which is very, very different. All of his bad traits kind of get tossed onto Gennaro, who then gets eaten by a T-Rex.
Well, I mean, I definitely think there is a very, I'm trying to think how the best way to phrase this. The character in the movie definitely still has some of those same traits. He definitely is like too focused on what he's trying to do. He's not considering, I mean, he is the one, the incredibly famous critique from Malcolm is that you didn't stop to think. What I like about the movie is it's more directed directly at Hammond. In the book, it's much more directed at science. In the film, but when you figured out you didn't stop to think if you should. That is very much him. He is the one who is not considering the consequences of this. He keeps saying spared no expense, but they actually are cutting corners. And
I'm ready to talk about that.
So I think there's still a very similar mistake and personality issue. The issue is his motivation is not nearly as greedy or corrupt in the film.
I think so. I think the softening, I think that's actually somewhat one of the issues with the movies. I think there's a little bit of confusion and some of the tension between Malcolm and especially there's one moment where... Well, I think that's less clear in the movie, especially when you see the dinner scene versus where we'll get to. But the dinner scene, and then later on Malcolm's being Malcolm in the car, and Hammond says, "I hate that man." It's like, well, we haven't really, as an audience, you've been extremely, you let him speak and think, which doesn't happen in the book or anything.
Oh, no.
And I'll say this too about Malcolm. This will be my short bit on Malcolm. I think he's a terrible character, and I think he's annoying, and I think he has nothing to say. I think his whole theory is, well, I think Arnold, another reason I love Arnold, I think he puts his theory totally to rest. Like he says, yeah, we didn't read this paper because it's obvious. Like we're going to go build something. Like
that's interesting because I have not the exact opposite, but like to me, Arnold is so clearly wrong, at least in relationship to Jurassic Park. Mainly because we know he's wrong because they don't have control. Arnold thinks they have control. He thinks it's a simple system, and he's wrong. It's not a simple system. It's too complicated. It's too complex. It's too easily fails. And that's self-evident because it does that. Like, we're not talking about a theoretical thing. It does happen. So I think Arnold is an interesting alternate voice to Malcolm. And if for some reason you're listening to this and haven't read the book or watched the movie, Arnold is a chaostician, which is not even
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Sorry, Malcolm. What did I say?
Yeah, Arnold.
Yeah, no, Malcolm is a chaostician. He just believes in that chaos has patterns, and this tells us a lot about the world, and it also tells us about systems, that many systems are too complex to be controlled, and they will inherently fail at some point, and you can predict these patterns. And he then was brought on to help analyze Jurassic Park, and his analysis was it was too complex of a system to be controlled, and it would inevitably fail. And I think it's pretty obvious the book is saying he's right, at least to some degree, because it does fail, and that Arnold is wrong because they fail. But
I'd argue that it's not. I don't know. I mean, Malcolm's point is so easy to make. I don't think it's it's much more. I think there's a lot of reasons why it fails, but I don't necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I just don't. I just fundamentally disagree with Malcolm's proposition. I do think that there is, experts in the right places can accomplish something. But maybe that's me. Maybe that's my own hubris getting in the way of Crichton's point that there are things that are too big that they will fail by design or fail by their very nature. So.
Well, I mean, I really love a lot of Malcolm's point. I think especially what so shocked me is that I'd always heard that Jurassic Park is very much this critique of biological alterations and genetic testing in the 90s, but it also gets very specifically is a critique of scientific thinking as a whole. Specifically, I mean, you have to subscribe to the reading that Malcolm is at a lot of times standing in for Michael Crichton, the author.
Which I think Crichton said in interviews. That's basically the case.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, he has this great quote that I've written down. He said, in talking about that you shouldn't, this whole thought of control on humanity's part in general is never going to work. Don't confuse things. You can make a boat, but you can't make the ocean. You can make an airplane, but you can't make the air. Your powers are much less than your dream of reason would make you believe. That feels like something straight out of Job. Like, to me, that feels like a biblical truth. Like, that feels like something God says to us. Like, I know that Michael Crichton was a deist, so he believed in a God, but he didn't believe that God was involved with creation after he created it, which to me doesn't make much sense. But from our perspective as Christians, I think Malcolm's whole philosophy, at least in critique of scientific thinking, having the hubris to think, well, because we have reason, because we have explanation for things, we think we can control it, is so untrue. And the idea that all of these progressions, I love what he says. Don't know if it's true, but he says, Sattler says something about all the advancement science has brought it back, and Malcolm says, what good have those done? 10,000 years ago, humans worked 20 hours a week to feed themselves and take care of themselves, and they did whatever they want the rest of the time. What have we done since then? I think that's a bit extreme.
I think it's a gross Rousseauian misread of history.
But I think fundamentally, if you look at creation, God gave us what we needed. And obviously sin made the world fall. So no matter what we do on this earth, it's always what is missing from Malcolm's analysis is the presence of sin, the presence of we're in a fallen world, so everything is inherently fallen. But I would say, and what I do like about his whole thing is that in our current world, we think that our scientific thinking is perfect, and he's calling out for not being perfect. And I really like that. Well, I think Arnold represents someone who has a good reasoning for doing what they're doing, but unfortunately, he still falls under that conception that if we just do things correctly, this will work out, which this was inevitably going to fail, I think. I think inevitably they created something they did not understand and they did not have control over. And also they did it on an island where hurricanes happen. Like, there's just too many things. Eventually, this would have happened. Like, I think that's the whole point of the ending. Anyways, I can keep going on.
We need to get back to the plot.
Yes.
We really diverted. Rachel, bring us back.
We lost the plot. Anyways. No, I think that's a good insight because, not to get too much on Malcolm because we'll probably talk about him more. He had some good bangers in between his 40 pages of dialogue.
I like that he's delirious for most of it, so there's like a question of whether he believes any of it.
I have a quote for you that made me think of you, and I thought it was funny.
Oh.
So we get to the island. They see the dinosaurs. They realize this is a dinosaur park. And from the get-go, it is, and I'm going to talk about the book and movie, it is clear that they are not really all that prepared. They have planted poisonous plants for looks. They don't realize they're poisonous. For example, in the book, it's mentioned by the pool. Ellie notes that they planted poisonous plants because they look cool. They're poisonous. She brings us up to him later, like when they're all having dinner together before they go on the tour. They're talking about, we have state-of-the-art facilities, so the park only needs to be run by 17 people at a time. that's a horrifyingly low amount of staff for a zoo. So it's pretty awful. So it's just the oversights are becoming very glaringly obvious. So we do get to meet Henry Wu, the main geneticist that Hammond has hired, who's been working for him straight out of grad school. We love a job straight out of grad school. Maybe the most unrealistic thing in this book. I'm kidding.
I had one within, not straight out of grad school, it was like 4 months.
I'm kidding. I'm in grad school. I also have a job, so that's what's saving me. I don't really have a whole lot to say. That's not really as too much different between the book and the book and the
Film
in between arrival on the island and getting to the tour. Aside from the concerns are starting to be voiced, and Hammond is like, I don't care.
Oh, see, and that's where I think there's a real difference. We see, especially I think the dinner scene is the thing that gets me, is Hammond is this very conciliatory figure where he even says, I think literally he says, no, let Malcolm speak. And whereas Hammond and Malcolm in the book are butting heads the whole time. And that's just another instance of Spielberg drastically softening Hammond, because I think that Spielberg relates to Hammond. He wants to be someone who creates spectacle like dinosaurs.
Granted, he does he does kind of harp on the three for not supporting him when he's like, it's where he makes the blood-sucking lawyer comment where he's like, you guys are here to support me. Mm-hmm. And he makes a blood-sucking lawyer comment to Gennaro, who just, thanks. It's kind of funny delivery.
So, speaking of dinosaurs, we haven't really talked about dinosaurs in this Jurassic Park podcast much. So, to me, the biggest surprise in the book was the presence of a juvenile T-Rex.
Yes, there are 2 T-Rexes. They have the adult and the juvenile. All the dinosaurs are still the goal that they're designed, that they are all female and can't breed. We'll see that fails, obviously. Like in the book, or in the movie, it's mentioned as well. They're on a lysine contingency, which means if they were to somehow escape from the island, they would die without their lysine tablets provided by their feeders. As we will also see...
Sounds like domesticated house pets.
Doesn't happen. That's rude of you to say in front of her.
That's exactly why I said
So, yes, dinosaurs. I do have the list of dinosaurs that are on the island.
I don't think we need a list of dinosaurs that are on the island.
We have
I don't think we need that.
They're counted multiple times in the book.
Okay, actually, that's a good point.
Multiple times.
Let's actually talk about that. I think that is one of the very interesting elements of the book.
I'm open to that page.
Is that they have they briefly in the film mention motion trackers. It's way more, it's a bigger part of the book that they can, at any time, they're supposed to be able to track all the dinosaurs, so if any got on the island, they would know. Mm-hmm. Another point of them thinking they have control and they do not, because they did get off the island.
And the other main thing that brings us around is on the tour, when they stop for the 6th dinosaur, which does coincide with the movie. In the book, Grant and Ellie find eggshells out in the wild. The only eggs that they know of on the island are in the labs. So they're saying these are eggs, and they notice they're velociraptor eggs because that's what they study. And so this is what kind of brings in this conversation of, are the motion trackers doing their job, and how are the dinosaurs allegedly breeding?
Because what I like about the inclusion of the motion trackers is later the scientists say to the people in the park, there's something wrong. There are more dinosaurs. And I think it's Malcolm or someone says,
Malcolm's the one who figures
you're only searching for how many you expect to see.
Exactly.
Type in a search for more, and the number goes up. Specifically, raptors go up. That is an incredible moment of suspense because the book actually lets you see it yourself. It's not like,
graphs.
Oh, Grant saw that there are more raptors. The book shows you the graph, and you yourself see, oh crap, the raptor number went up.
Yeah, so there's a conversation where they can talk to the control center through radios in the cars. The thing about cars on Jurassic Park, there are only 2 gasoline-powered Jeeps. The rest are all electric. Important context for later. Important mouse tool for later. So yeah, after the egg, Malcolm asks, run your totals for dinosaurs, and they run it 4 and get their 238. Hammond's like, duh, of course we're right. And Malcolm tells it search for a different set. Try one more. It finds 239. And they
Which is one more.
Which is one more. And so they keep going until they ultimately find that instead of 238 dinosaurs, there are 292. There are, instead of 8 velociraptors, it's counting 37.
It's such a good moment. It's
horrifying.
Okay, so what I don't remember though is how, because they, just like in the film, they have the raptors under a lot of control because they know how dangerous they are. How did any get out to even start breeding? Is that explained?
I'm fairly certain the velociraptors were put into that high voltage cage after the construction, the quote unquote construction.
They were on the island. They started breeding, and they pretty much they knew we should have 6. Here's 6. Put them in the box. Nope, there was more than 6. You didn't get all of them. Is that what happened?
Yes. And so, first of all, horrifying, but also showing that their genetics are flawed. This is mentioned in the movie. It's just with Grant and the kids after the dinosaur attack when he finds a nest of eggs.
And it's not raptor.
No,
eggs.
it's just eggs. But he's like, oh, it's probably amphibian DNA. They don't discover that for like a hot second in the book.
Yeah, that. No, please go ahead.
That's such a good change. I think that the egg plot is one of the worst parts of the book. I think that's another issue with the ending. Everything. Once the park is online, back online again, and we have the whole thing where they're counting eggs. Like, for one, I don't know why they're counting the eggs. Even Grant says earlier on in the book that he's like, we're just making our best guess.
That is a
firebombing the
kind
island,
of a wet blanket of an ending.
I don't think they knew that was going to happen per se, but
that is not. I think there's a lot to like about the book, but that is a bizarre way to end. Like that's technically like the climax of the book.
It feels like he kind of got tired writing.
And so I'm glad. I'm glad in the movie that they're like, oh, it's amphibian DNA. Like that's as much time as that plot element needs to be in the book. And it's way too long in the book.
Especially when they're like, oh, we just patched the dinosaur DNA with whatever else we needed. Okay, Woo, you should be super smart enough to realize, maybe we accidentally picked something that when they're all female, one of them will change sex, which is amphibians do.
In defense of the book, I think the book is significantly more about the details. We spend a lot of time, like we get pages of computer code in the book.
Oh, is it the Stegosaurus and learning that they eat rocks?
Yes, which actually I enjoy that detail.
Yeah, kind of cool.
Because
it's bird DNA.
Because what's weird, actually, why I like that detail is because they spend a whole scene in the film trying to figure out why the dinosaurs are sick, and they never explain it in the movie. It explained in the book that they
have gizzards.
Well, they were accidentally eating the berries
when they were eating
rocks. Yeah, so they were eating the berries, but it was on accident, and that's interesting to me. I think there's an interesting element to the book that's somewhat in the movie, but more in the book of these things are not monsters. They are. They are to be studied. We get to kind of come along with the scientists and study the animals and learn about them. And I think that is why you have the whole final raptor scene at the end where they go count the eggs, is so that they can view them one last time, and it can really hammer home to Grant that he realizes we never understood these creatures to begin with. But what I think my big take on the adaptation of the book to the film is they didn't just, I think there's 2 wildly different ways movies totally screw up adaptation. One is they're way too faithful, and it's just a shot for shot from the book. Bad idea, that's never going to work. Or you just take a broad idea from the book and you just make your own movie. That also sometimes goes way awry, and you have just this movie has nothing to do with a really great book. What they've done here is they've I want to bring up, is it David Koepp is the writer of the film? Is that right?
That sounds right.
David Koepp. He also wrote Mission Impossible, one of my favorite movies. Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, also one of my favorite movies. Indiana Jones' Dial of Destiny, not one of my favorite movies. Mummy 2017, not seen it. Look, I assume it's not one of my favorite movies.
You can't always have good movies.
Yikes. But
so he has range.
Toy Soldiers, heck yeah, I love Toy Soldiers.
So he has range.
Yes. And he identified what works in the book, the characters that work, the lines of dialogue. I think I think people watch Jurassic Park and like there's so many great quippy one-liners. You would think that's in a Hollywood writer. Those are straight from the book.
I know Michael Crichton helped with the screenplay too.
That's true. That's a good point. And I think what the movie is an incredible. They took the pieces from the book. They reorganized them into a much more succinct, dramatic sense. They moved things around. They shortened certain things. They made certain things happen faster earlier in the film, so it's not interrupting the action later on. And I think what were we were talking about? Oh, learning the dino eggs is a really good example of that. Of it just is a fast scene.
Oh, they're changing sex and they're breeding. That's bad.
Grant figures it out himself faster. I think in the book, I think it actually works because I like seeing Grant have to figure things out from observing the dinosaurs. I think that's more compelling for a book because we get to see his inner monologue and see him learning from the dinosaurs in real time. But in a movie, I think it works better to have a smart character deduce something right away. That's more compelling in a movie. So I think both work for their respective mediums, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, so I guess I think we should probably move on to the tour.
And the attack.
So the tour is pretty much the same.
They changed the dinos, I think, of what they do Dilos instead of, or Dilophosaurus instead of whatever the dinosaurs.
Triceratops?
No, it was not Triceratops. It was something.
The sick scene. The sick dinosaurs, are they Triceratops in the book?
It was a stego.
In the book, it's a stego. In the movie, it's Triceratops. But they see it totally different dinosaurs like on the tour until they get to the T-Rex.
And they see dinosaurs. That's a change.
Yeah, they see dinosaurs.
Yeah, I actually really like that change in the film. I think it is interesting. It really builds up to
The T-Rex.
them meeting when, oh my gosh, in the film when Grant lays on the Triceratops and it breathes and he goes up and down. What an incredible, just everything that's good about this movie is right there. His reaction, the practical effects. It's great.
Yeah. The tour is pretty much the same. The only thing that changes a little bit is Ed Regis is with the kids in the car, and then our adult cast is in a car by themselves until they get to the sick Stegosaurus in the book. And then Ellie and Gennaro go with Harding, the vet. So on the way back, it's just Grant, Malcolm in one car, and Ed Regis and the kids in another. So they come back, and Nedry has enacted his plan. So his plan is essentially the same. Steal embryos from InGen so he can get paid a bunch of money by Biosyn, and he has to get the canister to his guy on the boat before it leaves, but the boat is leaving early because a storm's coming in. One thing I thought was interesting, the boat had to leave and couldn't dock that night through the storm because Hammond cheaped out on storm barriers and pier protection, so it couldn't weather the storm. So they said, we either leave now or we're just going to lose the boat, essentially. So Nedry has to fix, in the book it's 141, in the movie it's like 151 errors in the park system that he built. So he goes, hear me out. I'm looking at Caleb. He bogs up the phones and the entire system so no one knows he's gone.
Yeah, in a time when you had to use phone lines to transfer data
to San Francisco. So that was his plan. He was just going to be gone for a couple minutes. He was going to steal the embryo, shut everything down. It would be fine. It's not fine. One thing that's important as they're going back to the Tyrannosaurus paddock in the book is the night vision goggles are still in the Jeep. Tim's using it, and they see the boat leave. Or no, not the boat yet. They're like in the woods, and he swears he sees a raptor in the bushes. It's as we've talked about, the raptors have been escaping and breeding. So they're out. That's the first time we actually see one outside of the baby in the nursery in the book. That is nixed out of the movie, but that's okay. And then the boat does leave, and as they're on the way back on the tour, Tim is looking at the boat leaving with the night vision goggles, and he sees a raptor on the boat.
This is another great moment of suspense that is in the book that I think, okay, so generally I think the book, it tries to be a little darker, it's gorier, you have more direct deaths, and you have this looming threat of raptors are on the boat, and they're trying to not let them get to the mainland, and just the description of them seeing the raptors running around on the boat is pretty incredible, and I think that would have been a cool visual in the movie.
It would have been cool.
And I'll add though. I think that the book kind of drops the ball on that plot because
I
at the
agree.
end, like they don't really resolve it. Like because I believe they end with Grant killing the raptors right in the climax of the book, and then like it just jumps to now the park's back on land. I don't even feel like they in the book resolve that they called the mainland. Maybe they say
They do, but that's all it is. It's literally a phone call. They call them before they dock, like 10 minutes before they were going to dock, and that's it. Yeah, you're right. It is not a plot that is resolved or even executed that interestingly,
It's just
but
suspense.
that one shot in my mind, just imagining Spielberg shooting that
would have been cool.
would have been a great shot.
It would have been amazing. I mean, and I think it's there for suspense as they're racing against, well, not only for their lives, but racing against time to get this boat from stopping multiple young raptors from getting to the mainland, which would be an ecological nightmare, but we'll talk about that in the Jurassic World trilogy because I have thoughts about that.
Okay, so we are an hour 20 in, and there's a lot of book left, so can you maybe just give us some big, broad points?
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a whole lot out of this much more.
Okay,
now it's
because
not.
I think that people can, if they're interested in the book, they can read the book themselves. We don't need to give them a full outline of the book.
Now it's just dinos eating people after that.
Yeah, it's just dinosaurs eating people. That's really the main. Most of my differences were just some character deaths, and that's it.
Yeah, they don't even, do they ever actually fully address in the book that Arnold, like we get confirmed, we see Arnold's hand or arm in the film. He's just kind of gone.
He is.
He gets a death. He gets a death in the book.
Okay.
I remember.
I just forgot about it, I guess.
I remember when my favorite character got killed in the book.
I see.
I'm sorry
I was
for
so
your loss.
bummed. I knew it was happening. I knew it was going to happen, but I was still bummed when it happened.
So the T-Rex attacks. Ed leaves the kids. It kind of plays out a little similarly. There's some minor differences. The only thing that changes is that Ed Regis gets got by the juvenile T-Rex.
Yeah. And Grant ends up in the mouth of the T-Rex.
Yes.
And explains that their jaw strength was not that strong. It's their neck strength.
Yep.
And they whip it around. And as we were watching the film, I kept explaining to Rachel how...
You mean Allison?
Sorry, thank you. Allison, that these things, like I just said, from the book, and obviously the film itself is telling you these things are more like birds than anything. And Allison says, when I said the thing about that their neck muscles are what is their strength, not their jaw, she's like, that makes sense because we oftentimes will go to this lake near our house and there's swans, and we've seen the swans grabbing fish and just... We were shocked to see that how swans eat fish is they grab them and they just swing their necks wildly back and forth. So that's an interesting moment in the film. In the book, that's not in the film, is that I think, again, could have been interesting. Probably, I think a lot of the things that are taken out as far as the dinosaurs are concerned was just technical limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah, quantity and its technical limitations. I think we can talk about this later with the book. The movie. What you see more in the movie is dinosaurs and humans not interacting directly as much, more like a dinosaur interacts with a thing and that then interacts with the human. So I think a dinosaur actually directly, you do see the T-Rex obviously in the film eats Gennaro, but it's CGI and it's quick. I think trying to have Grant inside the T-Rex's mouth would have been too difficult technically to pull off convincingly. I also think now that I think about it, in a film would probably make the T-Rex feel a little softer. You want him to be scary. You want to say something, Caleb?
Yeah, there's just one more thing about the differences in this next segment because it's going to play out the same in both sides. So there's the T-Rex attack, which splits the party. Grant and the kids have to get back, and then Dr. Sattler or Ellie and Harding and Malcolm are in. It would be Gennaro, but now it's Malcolm. They're in their own place. So and that's basically the same in both books. But one thing that's different is Grant and the kids' journey. There's a lot of scenes in the book that aren't in this movie, but are going to come back later on. The waterfall scene will get recycled in Lost World, and the raft scene will get recycled in Jurassic Park 3. So. Like
all the good stuff in this movie sequels are just the stuff they didn't do in this first movie.
Yeah, in the book, yeah.
So yeah, it really kind of plays out very similarly, I would say. Nedry has a worse death.
It is wild. It is wild.
Do you want me to read an excerpt from it?
Did you
I actually don't know what page it is. Never mind.
in the movie? Do you hear they do like a swipe sound effect, like a goofy sound when he
There's a
slips.
cartoon. I have that in my hums for the movie. Is when he slips, it's a. Whoop. I will say about
I do
Nedry.
have it.
Oh yes.
A really interesting element around Nedry's death in the book is characters keep almost finding him, but not quite finding him. And I find that very eerie. I almost wish the book did not describe his death, that they just let him go off into the woods. And then you have characters keep mentioning, oh, I see headlights over there. I see lights. There's something over there. Like
The compies are running. Why are the compies going?
I like the idea of there's just this light in the woods that no one knows why. We know as an audience, so I think it's very undercut. But I think that would have been very cool. Just a small nitpick I have of a taste thing is I think...
They do eventually find him, and it's very like, oh!
Yeah, okay, that brings up another thing. The characters in the book are very casual. Through everything that happens,
I would
everyone
say...
takes death very lightly and is
Except
not
Gennaro.
panicking enough when they're getting chased by a
Yes.
dinosaur.
I would say Gennaro has some of the most realistic
Sure.
reactions to death when they find Ed Regis's leg, and Muldoon's
He
like,
almost- yeah.
"This is probably Ed. It's his sock." And Gennaro's like throwing up. Valid.
But like in the river scene, they're freaking the T-Rex is under the water.
Yeah.
And Lex is just complaining. Like I think the film does a really incredible job of people are
Men
just
riding
screaming
women.
most of the time. Like people, I think in the film people tend to react much better, much more realistically. I think in my image of how the characters are described in the book, it seems much more like everyone at any given time thinks that they're not really in that much danger a lot of the time, in my opinion. So I find that kind of frustrating in the book.
Yeah, I won't read it all because obviously it's going to be a long episode, but Nedry's got a horrible death. So the Dilophosaurus spits poison in his eyes, which is similar to the book. The big difference is that the Dilophosaurus in the book is 10 feet tall.
That's right.
It's massive.
It's very small in the movie.
Yeah, it jumps into the Jeep with him and tears him up. In the book, he's blind, and it cuts him open. And while he's blind, he reaches down and he can feel his intestines spilling out of his stomach. And then the Dilophosaurus grabs his head in its jaws and picks him up.
It's a gnarly line.
And-
It was. I remember reading that in high school. And I was like, "Wow, that is."
Yeah.
That scene stands out more than maybe any other character death in the book.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No question. No question.
Because he said, I will read the last two paragraphs. They're actually 2 sentences, really. They're just long. And then there was a new searing pain like a fiery knife in his belly, and Nedry stumbled, reaching blindly down to touch the ragged edge of his shirt, and then a thick, slippery mass that was surprisingly warm. And with horror, he suddenly knew he was holding his own intestines in his hands. The dinosaur had torn him open. His guts had fallen out. Nedry fell to the ground and landed on something scaly and cold, and it was the animal's foot. And then there was a new pain on both sides of his head. The pain grew worse, and as he was lifted to his feet, he knew the dinosaur had his head in its jaws, and the horror of that realization was followed by a final wish that it would all be ended soon. And it goes, and the direct next chapter is Hammond and Wu talking about how much money they're going to make.
That's true. So I only have one more point to make about the book. Do you have like a summation?
Yeah, so very long-winded. Grant and the kids trying to get back, going down the river. Just abysmal park management for the rest of the time. Not
Arnold's
realizing
doing his best.
what.
I said Arnold's doing his best.
Arnold is doing his best, but they've never shut off the park before. They didn't realize they had to turn the main power back on. There's a whole lot of computer jargon. They finally get past Nedry's little which is in the movie. His passcode to realize what he's done. They have realized someone has gotten into the embryos. Things are going to hell, basically. And so really the final third act is everyone facing off against the raptors, essentially, in the visitor.
Which, again, is another good change. I think that the
It
film...
goes on a long time.
The film goes down to 2 raptors in the end, or 3 at the maximum.
I think it's 3.
And
It's just 3, yeah.
I think that's a good
It's-
choice. There's just so many raptors in the book.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary in theory, but it's kind of, for me, like the difference between Alien and Aliens, the Ridley Scott and James Cameron films, is that I think Alien is way more scarier because there's one alien that you can't kill, and in Aliens there's a bunch of aliens and they keep killing them, and they're less scary at that point because there's too many of them. I think it's the same with the raptors.
Honestly, there were times where I felt like I was really having difficulty imagining the scene, where the characters were and where they were in relation to the building and what the building looked like. I think I was having a hard time, like they're here and then they're here. The scaling of the buildings might have been what confused me. One big change that happens that does not change in the movie, otherwise it would have, or in the movie changes this, otherwise it would have completely eradicated future sequels. Wu dies.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wu, he dies to a
Velociraptor.
Velociraptor. He basically gets eaten alive. So
and he's not in Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, right?
But he's
in Jurassic World, and he's the reason Jurassic World can happen.
He survives the movie.
Yeah.
So,
but he's not in the sequel films.
No, I don't
He's
think
barely
so.
even in the movie. I guess he survives because he got on the boat in the movie. Like,
Yeah,
he just
'cause a lot
isn't in the rest of it.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
all the staff left on the boat.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like mainly the biggest thing I had, is that I think the third act really is drawn out and then it ends. They get rid of all the velociraptors
By poisoning eggs
by poisoning eggs.
and having them eat it. It's
Yep.
like,
Well, that was like in the more action oriented sequence.
Yeah.
That's just how they get out of the visitor center. It's very funny. It's very visceral that Grant is like rolling around in the eggs to get away from the raptors.
Another big thing, and this happens probably kind of right towards the very end, so maybe we don't have to talk about it. The death of another major character, Hammond.
Yes.
Which his death is.
And it's very pitiful.
To me.
It is
it's
funny.
Awful. It's so funny. So basically, what it is they get rid of the velociraptors, and the power. You kind of mentioned this. The power comes back on, and things kind of start almost mildly returning to normal. The workers come back. There's a specific note where Hammond sees one of the workers. They're starting to repair everything, and then our main cast goes, "We should hunt down all the velociraptors," which is an asinine thing to do.
It's so dumb. But also the raptors just like don't find them, even though it seemingly they're just like right there.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre that the raptors like they kind of hand wave it by saying there's no eggs around that haven't hatched, so the raptors aren't as on edge, but they're in the raptor's nest, and they don't really seem to notice that there are humans in the nest being loud, shining flashlights.
And also, Grant really kind of takes almost like a bit of a character turn with Gennaro. Maybe not a character turn, but
They're shouting?
They're shouting at each other, and he's like, "You endorse this, so you're going to see the problem." I remember thinking like, okay, Grant.
Yeah, it's
wild. It really comes out of nowhere.
I agree.
I agree.
And Gennaro does deserve it as the resident almost
that
lawyer in the
too.
room. I was like, Gennaro is okay.
I actually I enjoyed Gennaro's character in the book far more than the movie. He kind of plays sidekick to Muldoon for quite a while.
He does.
He's running around with him. Muldoon's like,
Muldoon rules.
"Get the Jeep ready so we can trank the T-Rex." And Gennaro's like, "Huh?" He's missing his daughter's 4-year-old birthday for this. He's having a terrible time.
It's probably not a great dad, though.
No, he's probably not a great dad. So they get rid of the caged velociraptors. They go find the nest, and they estimate what? Probably like 30. It's like 30-something velociraptors. And the book kind of tries to make a poignant moment where all the velociraptors leave the nest. It's underground. It's in old aqueducts. And they go and watch a boat go by. And the main thing that this ties back to, I think, all the way from the beginning, is that Grant realized they want to migrate. So they're actively seeking ways off the island for bird patterns.
Which is a really bizarre scene because to me, so we know that the raptors try to get off the island. We know that they got on the boats. He's saying, I think they want to migrate. They've the book is building up this weird little mystery where the dinosaurs, the raptors keep facing the same direction and they can't figure out why. And now they're all facing these boats. And in my mind, or it's the military vehicles pulling onto the beach.
Which is also a scene from Lost World.
Yes.
Or is that no? I think that's Jurassic Park 3 that ends that way.
I can never remember which one it is.
Lost World ends with the T-Rex in San Francisco.
Yes, you're right.
And then 3 ends with the military.
It's true.
Rolling up D-Day style.
Yeah.
And I could not get out of my head that what this was all building towards was raptors were about to get out of the military vehicles. The military, the raptors had gone to the mainland and stolen vehicles and brought them back to liberate their brothers and sisters. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I could not get
as
out
a
of my
fellow bird, you were just really rooting for that.
Okay.
So yeah, they get through it. And so because this happens actually before the very end. We were going to say something. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Do we want to talk about Hammond?
I feel like we've really gone over him. Is there anything else to say about him?
Death.
He gets compied, man.
He does.
He got comped.
Oh, right.
So it's
he trips and he falls down the hill.
Yes, and because the kids do not go to the Velociraptor nest, which is probably the smartest thing they've done this whole book. And so Hammond is walking back to his bungalow, and he hears the T-Rex roar. He turns around, he swears he sees the shadow, and he starts running. He's like a 70-year-old man, and he falls down the hill, breaks his ankle. The next scene, the kids are in the control room playing with a T-Rex roar that they play over the intercom. So there wasn't actually a T-Rex. His own grandkids axed him, essentially, unintentionally. And so he is trapped, and he gets compied, and he dies. It's pretty sad and pathetic. And the whole time, he's, like, cursing his grandkids.
I wonder who would sue. I wonder who his estate would sue in a survival action.
Sue Lex. Lex is a problem. Lex deserves to be taught a lesson.
Well, and Book Lex? Or Book Lex is like, I feel bad for her. Movie Lex rules. She's doing.
I'm talking about Book Lex.
So
I don't like Book Lex very much.
yeah. So
Kind of very annoying.
So he dies. Pretty pathetic. He doesn't get taken out by any of his greatest creations. He gets taken out by the rats of the island. Malcolm is dead at this point. He has been raving mad for probably the last actual 100 pages.
Yeah, we just cut back to him, and he just has a new rant to go on.
Oh my gosh. No,
He
it is
spends most of the
actually
book on morphine.
actually 100 pages near exact to this quote I wanted to read to you, Caleb, that I thought you might find you might get a kick out of. Let me find it. It's somewhere here. Yeah. I wrote it. He's complaining about Arnold, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
You might have got this. Okay. The morphine's making me philosophical. I thought you might get it. I was like, ha!
It often has that effect on me as well.
So Malcolm is dead. Hammond is dead. Ed Regis is dead. Muldoon and Gennaro are alive, which is not like the movie. Because Muldoon gets clever girled. But he survives, which honestly, out of all of them, he's the most qualified to survive.
Yes.
With his big game hunter. The very ending of the book is far different from the movie because the Costa Rican government gets involved, and honestly, probably for a very reasonable decision, goes, we're just going to napalm the island. And they rescue our surviving cast and just start dropping bombs.
Like Flight of the Valkyries from Apocalypse Now is what happens.
Eviscerating this island.
I think it's very important for the listeners to know that Caleb just references whatever the last film he watched was, so that's why he just did that.
Hold on a second. I think that's a pretty poignant quote.
But was that also not one of the last 5 films you watched?
No, that was like it's in the last 20 films I've seen.
Fair enough.
But I probably saw that back in April.
Okay, last month or so. I guess 2 months. Anyways.
Do we want to move to the movies now? With the
one last thing I want to say about the book. I think what I enjoy about the book is that we also get a lot more behavioral elements of the dinosaurs, partially through action, partially through Grant's analysis. I like that the dinosaurs are playful a lot of the time, not necessarily in good ways, but the
baby velociraptor in the nursery.
plays with the kids. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a good example. But then also that also leads into the book being more brutal, that the adult raptors eat that
Cannibalize
baby. But on the playfulness end, the adolescent T-Rex plays with
Ed Regis
before he kills him. The raptors are like, quote unquote, playing with the main characters through the fence. They're actually distracting them. But like that behavioral stuff I think is really interesting. But also like the only scene I like of Lex is where she's playing with a baby Triceratops by feeding it.
Ralph.
I think that's a lot of fun.
I love Ralph.
So I think there's a lot like more on the opposite end of the book being more brutal. There's also more lighthearted elements as well.
I'm actually pretty sure they made an animatronic of Ralph for the first movie, but they cut it.
Oh, interesting. Wow. So that was just one element I want to talk about. The film. I have some dubs, some L's, and some hms. Do you guys have either of those prepared?
I can scroll through my notes and grab
I didn't write any, but I can come up with some.
Okay. I think... I guess I can start since I'm prepared. To reference back, this is a small detail, but to reference back to something I kind of coined in discussing about Andor, clicking and whirring. There's a lot of fun. There's not a ton of it, but there's the walkie-talkies, the computer systems, and especially the main one is the breakers that Sattler flips. She has to like pump, she has to prime the thing, then she has to flip a plastic thing, and then push a button, and she has to keep doing it. So good.
When Nedry goes in and he steals the embryos and he's like lifting them, I thought of you too. I was like, Cameron loved this.
The Gillette can of shaving cream. Absolutely, that thing rules. Yeah, no, good, incredible prop work in this film. I think it's always stuck out to me, and I think much like I said with Andor, it's good world building. It just makes Jurassic Park feel like a real place.
Practical effects stay winning.
Yeah.
My first dub is a series of dubs. Just the whole cast rules. This is I love the performances of everyone in this, but particularly Richard Attenborough and Sam Neill. I think this is their movie, but they're just surrounded. Like, everyone in this movie just rules. There's not anyone who's on the screen for a significant amount of time. I mean, I think. Maybe my only critique would maybe be Muldoon's a little campy, but it works.
He's campy in the book too.
Man, but like his bug-eyed look that he gives when he's like up in the camera, and of course the shoot her is I mean, that guy. What has that guy ever been in any other movie any of us have all seen? Because I don't think so, and I think that's also what makes a lot of these characters work. As I think. This is the ultimate argument for not using major movie stars in your movie, is to just hire a good actor that people don't know as well and let them just be the character. There's not like a cool action hero. The quote-unquote coolest character is either Malcolm, who's a big dork and he's supposed to be over the top, or Muldoon, who gets got in the end. So, no, I totally agree, though.
I was saying mine are pretty much similar to those. Not repeating anything new.
Laura Dern she stuck out to me this once as her chemistry with Sam Neill is like, oh wow, she's everything phenomenal. That she's bouncing off of Sam, they're really, really excellent.
Don't we all have the hots for Sam Neill?
But to go back to a conversation from earlier,
Thank you.
When the film came out, Laura Dern was 26. Is that correct? Yeah, 26. And Sam Neill was 39. Wow. Is that horrible?
That's actually almost the exact same age difference in their book counterparts.
Also, fun fact, Sam Neill and our birthdays are one day apart.
I thought you were going to be like, you know him?
No, I wish I did.
Hold on. Why do we got Caleb here?
Also, if you didn't know, just talking about actors, the performance that stood out to me this time is Tim, because I think he really balances being cute and annoying, and I think he just hits that sweet spot. And he is in The Social Network. He's one of the roommates who's the programmers.
Oh, that's fun. I like that he is dressed like a mini Alan Grant. I originally wrote down, like, what's his deal with ascots? And then I realized, oh, no, Tim is just intentionally dressed to look like a mini Alan Grant. They have, like, similar costumes. So shout out to the costume department. for that. That was cool. That was a nice touch.
And we have B.D. Wong, who's in quite a few of the early seasons of Law & Order SVU.
A stricken property from this podcast. We're not allowed to talk about it.
It all comes back to SVU.
What else have I would like to talk about? So similar to the props, what makes something feel real as well is sounds. Mm-hmm. A lot of great sounds. The Velociraptor. I guess my big point is I think sometimes a movie is so good that people take it for granted. I think it's really easy for people to go, "Oh, these are just dinosaurs." No. They are making these creatures. Their design, the effects, the noises, everything about the dinosaurs is being decided upon to make them feel like they exist. And I think people watch this film and take it for granted. And I think the Velociraptor noise is a really good example of that. Of like, they had to design that noise, and it is a incredible sound effect. But
their calls to each other. You would not want to hear that in the woods at night, or in the daytime. Honestly,
the raptors' hands opening doors, their eyes, and I said I was going to mention this earlier. I think they do a really good job of working around limitations of the technology, because I think like one of the few times the interaction between a dinosaur and a human maybe is fumbled a little bit is actually, unfortunately, the death of Muldoon, which I think is an incredible scene. But if you've seen it a lot of time, you kind of can tell it's just it kind of feels like E.T. was thrown
something at him.
They do a good job. I think the incredible decision Spielberg made is that they kind of mask it with a plant, so you don't fully see it. But like, I think one of the most incredible decisions the film consistently makes is to have the dinosaur interact with the thing, and then that thing interact with the human. You put something in between them, and it makes both feel like they're in the real space. The best one is when the T-Rex rotates the upside-down truck or Jeep, and it pushes our characters, and they have to try to stay on the other side. The one I had never noticed before that's really good is when the raptor is chasing Sattler, and she stands up to push the gate closed, and the raptor hits the gate from the other side and pushes them both back. It just is incredible because you don't have to have her actually interact with the raptor itself, and it's a very fast edit. It's very quick, and it just feels so real. So that's my point, I guess, ultimately, is want to recognize the work that went in to make the dinosaurs exist.
The thing that stuck out to me of that technical part was when they shine the light on the T-Rex and the pupil dilates.
So good.
I was like, there's so much work to just do that silly thing, but wow, that's cool.
It's a good detail. Well, what other things you guys like that you want to talk about? Anything you want to point out?
I'm highlighting my those are most of mine.
That's the most important thing. Okay, well, let's do L's real quick. Arnold dying off screen, I think, is unfortunate. I understand why they do it, but he's also one of my favorite characters. Sam Jackson just knocks it out of the park. He's just chain smoking like no one's business. Hold on to your butts. So good they had to say it twice. Him typing on computers, him knocking Nedry's stuff off the table. Everything he does is incredible. So it's kind of sad that he just disappears.
That's how I feel about Muldoon.
Yeah, but at least he gets a death. Like it's a good death too. Sad. I think even though the movie does a good job of condensing down from the book, I do think it goes a little long towards the end. I think especially once they have the scene that I love where they are up in the tree and they like feed the brachiosaurs, brontosauruses, one of those two. They then have like the electrical fence scene. And
Great pretending he's getting shocked.
There's like a couple sequences there in the middle where there's just no dinosaurs. And I like it in theory that now we're kind of exploring the park. It just, to me, it kind of slows down the film a little too much. It's like, we just don't need that, I think, in my opinion. I think it's a really good sequence in and of itself. I actually really like the fence scene on its own as a little bit of suspense and humor. And it's connecting what the rest of the people are doing to the characters who are lost. But I think as far as a dinosaur film, it kind of
I actually would put that maybe in. I did actually have one more dub, but we've already been talking about this. I like a lot of Spielberg's rewrites. I think generally his version is I think his version is better for film, I think, than like a straight literal adaptation of the book. And I think that's one area where the plot in the book of the power coming online is way more stretched out and drawn out. And so this is a way where we get that tension, the same kind of tension you get in the book, but it's way more collapsed, and it's in that way more palpable, where we see Tim getting shocked. And so I appreciate that edit as well. And that's just a general dub. I know we're in
No, that's good.
That's
good.
That's my dub.
I'm trying to think of how to structure these. Arnold dying off screen. Yeah. I think a lot of people pointed this out, but I think the movie is very well structured. I think it flows well. I think the logic works. I think everything that happens, like at least within movie logic, makes sense. I think it's almost like once things start rolling, it's very. I mean, this is a very common metaphor, but it's very. Not gonna think what it's called. We like drop a ball and it goes through and it causes a chain reaction.
Butterfly effect?
No, it's a mechanism.
Domino?
Rube Goldberg machine.
Rube Goldberg device. It's very Rube Goldberg-y of like one thing
Chaos
leads to the other.
Yes.
What is super annoying is when they're in the control room and the velociraptors are trying to get in and they're trying to keep the door shut. Two things. One, Sattler is pushing the door next to the hinges, which is not how you should try to keep a door closed if something powerful is pushing through. And then she's trying to reach the shotgun, and freaking Tim is over there doing nothing.
I also have
Pisses me off every time.
My only L. It's like,
It's a major L on both the character parts, but also I think that could have been. I mean, people famously talk about Spielberg being a master of blocking. I think that's just a problem of blocking. I think you can just position those characters a little bit different to make that scene work better. I think my final L is I love Malcolm. I think Malcolm's amazing. Ultimately in the film, it's really because of our man, Jeff Goldblum. His performance just sells the crap out of it. But on this viewing, I realized once they get back from him getting injured, I don't think he talks again. Like, he rarely talks, other than the great scene where Hammond is trying to over-explain the directions to Sattler over the walkie-talkie, and he just takes over and explains it way simpler.
Significantly less morphine in the movie.
Yeah, he's not, like, he just has nothing to do. Like, pretty much once he gets taken out by the T-Rex, he does very little the rest of the film.
Shirtless.
But he's around. Like, I noticed there were two different times there's a long, sustained shot of just him, just looking. He's not saying anything, he's not doing anything. So, like, this character that is incredible in the first half is giving literally nothing to do.
Filming for the female gaze.
Well, so I think that's a
dub.
bummer.
Honestly, I hate both Malcolm, so that's a huge dub for me.
So that's my final L. Any last complaints from anyone before we finalize our dubs
or our hms?
Well, we'll close on hms because hms is always the best part. My final dub for me, I think. I really should have closed on the weight of the dinos. I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from this viewing. I think a key scene that highlights what I like about the film over the book. We've talked about it a lot, but it's a key scene I think explains it. Is Hammond. Hammond not being a greedy capitalist, but rather a idealistic capitalist, I think is an incredible change. And I think I think you might not be sure as a viewer until the scene where he's eating the ice cream and he has this whole monologue about wanting to show people something real. I think that is I think that is the scene that does not exist in other monster films. That is the scene that makes this movie special. Because that is, then I think it affects everything you've seen up until that point and kind of makes you, and then it stays with you the rest of the film. I think it's really, really good.
And Ellie gets onto him during that scene as well. Like, she's kind of railing on him. She's like, you don't have any control over any of these dinosaurs. And he's kind of like,
Yeah, that's her. I feel like her big scene as an actress, just like really gets to dive into the part there.
And much like Book Malcolm is Crichton's just projection of himself, I think that the ice cream scene Hammond is Spielberg just writing himself into the movie.
Yes,
I think that's absolutely what's going on there. And I love that scene. I love the ice cream scene, and I totally agree. Movie Hammond rules.
Tag yourself. Are you coffee scene Hammond or ice cream scene Hammond?
But then also when he listens to her whole thing and he goes, "You're absolutely right." That's the one time the Scottish actually comes back. Next time we'll do it right.
Yes.
That's an incredible choice of, man, this guy just can't get it, can he? But I am glad he doesn't die, though. I think again, final shot of him in the movie is him on the helicopter, slumped over, looking at his
amber.
cane, the mosquito. That's a much better. That one shot says so much. Amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty scummy in the book.
Any final dubs from anyone?
You guys kind of covered it.
Cool. Caleb, hmms?
It's my first
Just give us all your hmms.
All of my hmms. All right. I just have like 5. First one is on, and these are kind of hmms. These are just my favorite of the comments I wrote down. So when Gennaro is being his introduction, he's like being pulled on a raft. I wrote, as a lawyer, I prefer Jimbad Gennaro to a Darjeeling Limited Gennaro.
That's a Wes Anderson film, for those who don't know.
Well, but they were also really clear that they're like, Gennaro's fit.
In the book, yeah.
Multiple times.
In the book, Crichton was like, this man's jacked. In case you were curious on what he does when he's not being a lawyer and skipping out on his daughter's life.
My next one, I wrote, I love the guy. A couple of these are the background characters I noticed this time. So when Grant is like at the dig site at the very beginning of the movie, and he's like looking at the computer, there's a guy I wrote, I love the mullet guy who's doing his best They Live impression, because he looks exactly like the lead in that movie. Let's see, Hammond says schedule as well. I relate to that. I'm glad he says schedule. When Dodson comes on the screen, he exits a cab and you can see the cabbie, and he's like, the extra goes out of his way to like yell at him for like stiffing him. It's awesome. I love it.
That's incredible.
So that extra gets a shout out. And then Nedry's squeeze toy that's on his desk.
Yeah.
That gets used later in a Key and
saw
Peele
that.
sketch.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's the pizza delivery sketch. It gets. So I appreciated that. I wrote for the Gallimimus charging scene. I wrote Gallimimus is ran so Jar Jar could trip.
Oh man!
I think their effects look very similar. And then my last thing was just that same. Tim is just so useless for that last scene. In fact, he's useless mostly the whole movie. Unfortunately.
He's there to annoy. He's there to win over
Grant.
Dr. Grant into liking kids that he'll never have with Dr. Sattler.
Oh, yeah. Yikes. Anyways, that's my hmms.
Do you have any hmms?
Pretty valid. The pinup model on Nedry's monitor.
All the references to Sandler's legs.
Does he have Oppenheimer? There's a picture of someone on taped to his thing. I think it's a picture of Robert Oppenheimer.
Hysterical. That's weird. That's weird podcast connection. Huh. We talked about him.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me just bring it. Yeah, here it is. It is a picture of Robert Oppenheimer on Nedry's computer.
Hysterical.
Wow.
It's so strange.
You know that Simpsons meme, do it for him or do it for her? Where, you know what I'm talking about, Cameron?
Yes.
Where he covers the sign at his work with pictures of his daughter. It's that, but with Oppenheimer for Nedry.
Okay, I think this is very famous, but I forgot how egregious this was. This is the second thing that Malcolm says.
You don't have to get.
That's the second thing he says is just laugh like that. It's so bizarre.
It's a little.
Nedry's infamous trying to make an excuse for leaving the office so he can go steal boxes. He's like, he's so sus. He's so sweaty. He's like just the worst liar in the world. It's hilarious.
Oh, but I love, was it Wayne Wright? Is that the guy who...
Wayne Knight.
Wayne Knight, that's it. Yeah, he's awesome. He's doing great. I love Wayne Knight in this movie.
When Sam I'm going to see if I can find it. When Sam Jackson explains everything, here it is. When he explains everything wrong with the computer systems, just listen to how fast this man is talking. That's with my phone hitting the floor. Don't worry about it.
Key check space minus O. Key checks off. Safety space minus O. He's turning the safety systems off. He doesn't want anybody to see what he's about to do. Now, look at this next entry. It's the kicker. White rabbit object. Whatever it did it all. But with the key checks off, the computer didn't file the keystrokes.
This man is not breathing.
Now
He's just...
computer.
plowing through this
It's
exposition.
because he's moving through 20 pages of computer code from the book.
But it's just like, that's what it's like to read the book. That's
Actually how I felt. I went, ugh.
I love Arnold. He's the best.
We talked about Nedry's cartoon falling sound effect. Bizarre. Also, every time I tried to type Nedry in my note, it all occurred to nerdy, which made me realize,
so annoying.
Is that on purpose? Is Nedry's name intentionally nerdy? Just 2 letters swapped? I think that's on purpose.
Dennis
That's
Nerdy. Dennis Nedry, Dennis Nerdy.
So Sattler is turning on all of the power towards the end, and Tim is still on the fence. It cuts to her turning them on. There's a long line of all the power breakers labeled, and the camera just fast pulls in to fences.
Yep.
It is the most like silly camera movement. It's hilarious.
I think it's funny how it's
Here it is. In case you're not sure what I'm talking about. Here's it's just like it starts in a somewhat wide shot.
and this will not be the first time she's in a situation like this in a Jurassic Park movie. Happens
It's
in Dominion.
it's such a silly camera movement.
Perimeter fence.
My final L. Sorry. So, thank you. This has made me giggle. It's just so like both subtle but also on the nose. Malcolm gives his whole critique of Hammond, and then Hammond goes, "I don't think you're giving us our due credit." And over his shoulder is a picture that says Jurassic tennis. It's like, you're not giving us our due credit, and he's trying to sell tennis on Jurassic Park. I had never noticed that before. Funny detail.
I do have to laugh in the movie when Nedry like first interacts with the Dilophosaurus, which is like pony sized. He kind of like looks at it and kind of goes, okay. And he just turns around and walks away. No threat. Just kind of looks at it and leaves.
I would like to close with
Closing time.
I want to disprove. I've had it's been about an 8-year long argument with a good friend of mine.
Is it one of us?
No, it's not one of you guys.
Oh.
He claimed that he doesn't like the Jurassic Park film because it's not quotable. So I'd like to close by us giving our favorite quote from Jurassic Park. Either of you can start. You have a favorite? Do you not like? To me, this movie is so.
The way you said our favorite line made it sound like we all had the same favorite quote.
No.
I was like,
Sorry.
which one did we agree?
No, what is your personal favorite quote? Because I just think every character has at least one iconic
I love
quote.
Showtime. It's so funny.
I mean, we already did hold on to your butts, but it's
See, that's probably mine too.
It's probably because when Athena's throwing a fit, that's what I think of.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
That one, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
People are dying. It's another fun one.
I think of that almost anytime I come into a room and need to suggest a problem, like there's something's bad happening, I think that goes through my mind.
Dying.
Man,
Spared no expense.
Spare no expense. That's a great one.
Yeah, see, this was my point. I knew we would have. It's hard to choose one. There's so many.
When I bought a new laptop in college, that was the first sticker I bought for it. It just I put it on the laptop. Spared no expense.
In our text messages, you told us what Athena's favorite quote is about someone inheriting the earth.
Where was it? God creates earth.
God creates man.
God creates man. Man kills God. Man destroys earth.
Or man creates dinosaurs.
Man creates dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs eat man.
Man, and then Ellie. Dinosaurs eat man. Women inherit the earth. And I was like, that's Athena's favorite.
Man, I think it really is. Hold on to your butts, but a really close second one. I think any quote that is really, really simple and could easily be not a quote, but anytime anyone says it, it inherently becomes a quote. Clever Girls, like it's so good. It's such an incredible delivery. Like that's not inherently a reference to this film if you said clever girl, but it is. Anytime anyone says that those two words, it's a reference to Jurassic Park, and it's amazing. But also, Malcolm, that's one big pile of shit.
Which, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, it's almost as tall as him, and maybe it's just the really weird framing, but they're very specific that when they talk about dinosaur droppings in the book, it's maybe shin high. I'm just throwing that out there for realism.
But also, actually, the one I actually probably like more than that is his delivery, at least, of dropping that dino droppings.
yeah.
It's just the delivery on that is so funny.
Barry Goldblum.
Yeah, great film. Also,
I realize I have one thing I've teased off mic, but I realize I haven't, or I might have teased at the beginning about the Brad Bird pitch. I need to explain why I want the
yes,
Brad Bird
okay, this is a good way to close
Yeah,
it.
you said it in
So-
the text, and then you said it at dinner. And
Right, so Brad Bird is someone who also is obsessed with excellence and is almost like Randian in his notion of like there's an excellent class of people. And so the Brad Bird version of
Just
this
real quick, director of Iron Giant, Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol, Incredibles 2, and Tomorrowland. I think that's all.
Yes, and there's a consistent theme of like of a class of excellent people and you know, almost like, you know, just glorifying excellence and competence. And I think there, if you take the reading of Jurassic Park, where there is this subclass, you know, all these side characters that really, if they had someone not Hammond, someone who really allowed them to work properly, the park would have functioned. That's the version of Jurassic Park I want to see, where the park does actually work fine, and it's just like a triumph of engineering. I feel like Brad Bird would get on board with that. So that's my mean, and I think it would look cool. I mean, Brad Bird's amazing anyway.
that's kind of the first 10 minutes of Jurassic World.
Yeah, so maybe I need to rewatch Jurassic World.
Well,
No,
probably
you
not.
don't. It's bad. I hate it. I hate
10
Jurassic
minutes.
World. So meme minute, but it's longer than a minute. But is it longer than a Ian Malcolm book rant
Monologue.
Induced by
Morphine.
Morphine? Thank you.
I have no memes to share this time.
Yes. Rachel, if you want, you could probably save some memes for next time in case you don't find enough for next time. I have 9. Gosh dang it, Rachel. I'm gone for a few weeks and I come back and...
I have 4 videos and 25 images.
Oh my word.
I think you can be a little more selective than 25. Show us one of the videos.
POV, me watching Cassian leave Yavin at the end of Andor Season 2, knowing his fate in Rogue One.
Interstellar. Oh, that's so good. So good.
No! Yeah.
So obligatory, not a meme, but a pair of comments that I saw that one point out a funny detail from Star Wars, but also in a humorous way. For clarification, Han and Leia originally had a 10-year gap, 19 and 29. But Han's age was changed to match Harrison Ford at the time of the original film. So now it's canon that Leia was 19 and Han was 32. If they hadn't changed his age, Han would have been 16 years old in the opening of Han Solo and then 19 the rest of the film. Now he was 19 and then jumped to 22. Second comment. Han is a 30-ish-year-old drug dealer who left the army and lives in his truck dating a 19-year-old. That's a major for you.
Really recontextualizes how cool he is when you phrase it that way.
But you know what? Indiana Jones is worse. Do you know how young Marion was when they first started, like, having a fling?
Predator levels.
She was like 13 or 14.
Predator levels.
Yikes.
Yeah, big yikes.
Good Lord, Harrison.
I've split my memes in half,
Okay, thank you.
but I'm going to show my other videos.
Yes, please do.
I don't know what this one is because it's just the TikTok.
Oh,
one,
I
so
forgot
it
that
could
I
be
probably have a
anything.
video.
Oh, this is what Krennic really wanted to say.
Have a fully reloaded.
That's just it, him crashing out on Deidre. How the rebellion felt after Mon Mothma's speech against Palpatine. It's a concert rave. To be in the honest.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's just. Oh, okay, sorry. Kayla wanted to continue on.
Oh, no.
So,
Okay, I think I have a video saved. Oh, here we go.
you screen peeking.
Just a little bit. I just saw the face.
Oh, so this is, it's great that this is a Star Wars meme, but honestly, almost no matter what it was, this would have been relevant because this is very Rachel. It's me and Rachel. when bro is at his limit from work and FaceTimes you to vent, but you genuinely don't know how to respond.
Destroy
Vader from Kenobi.
in our paths until he is found.
That is legitimately the only way I know how to respond when Rachel just goes on this like 5-minute tangent about
it's
work.
because Cameron a lot of times shows up to my home like right after work, and I'm like, how I feel after releasing 2 alligators in Bro's living room and say, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." That's it. It's an image of in-universe John Hammond sitting in a chair, all
I think
dressed
that's
up.
AI generated.
You might be AI generated. Don't
You would
ruin this
know.
for me.
This is just a clip of young man, I forget his name. The actor who plays Andor.
Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. The caption says Teen Cassian Andor before he joined the
Yo me
rebellion.
la compré con mi dinero mío de mi propiedad así, ¿eh? Porque ¿qué tiene de malo que me la compre? ¿Qué tiene de malo que me
That's
la compre?
crazy.
Rachel is aghast. He's got long hair. He's
long,
like 15 years
emo
old,
hair.
and he's poorly
And
playing
he
the
sounds
guitar.
the exact same.
What song is that? That's a like English language song.
I don't know.
I can't think of it. Anyways,
Could
I'm
not
just
tell you.
shocked. I just felt very targeted by this one. But you already have 100 Bandai Godzilla vinyls. Different. This one's totally different. Considering I have 2, and they are very different.
there are 2 people inside Rachel when she's at Target. So this is Star Wars, but also connects to another element of our podcast.
Hello there. I would like to tell you about Ephesians 4:32. The verse says this: be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. The call to forgive one another is rooted in the forgiveness we have received from God through
Forgiveness.
Christ. Just as God has shown us grace and mercy, we are to extend that same grace to others, letting go of grudges and resentment. The power of love and forgiveness for others reflects the heart of Jesus in our interactions with others. Till we meet again.
So you're laughing at that, but you thought the cat meme was blasphemous?
So the name of that
big
account
Jesus?
that posted that video was Christian General Grievous.
If that's every video, just some iteration of that, that's amazing.
That was
Grievous out here doing the good work, doing the Lord's work.
Running the race, truly. What a great nap. I feel totally disoriented and I'm frothing with hate, and it's just paired with a picture of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you got
Totally
some good memes.
The caption on this is forcing my wife to watch all of Andor Season 1, Season 2, and Rogue One back to back.
Oh, I've seen these clips.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
My best friend texting his girlfriend all night. Me having random Star Wars discussion with strangers on the internet all night. It's a picture of Anakin and Padme and then the Jedi Council. I relate to that bottom part.
Another obligatory, not a meme, but a text message. I think this is while I was in Germany. Rachel texted me a screenshot from a Facebook Marketplace post. The Qui-Gon Jinn doll that is just horrifying to look at.
We're pretty. I think I don't know if it was with you or someone else, but we're pretty sure it's mid-death. That's like death expression.
Also, a small detail that's great is the also only $10. Also, in the screenshot, you get like it'll like autofill. It'll let you message the seller, and it says, "Hi, Karen." This says 1993 Star Wars Qui-Gon Jinn doll. Phantom Menace was not released until 1999. So, where are you getting that number, Karen? What else you got, Rachel?
Purely visual.
You have Deidre in a plant.
Yes.
And, they're just watching this. This is when they were watching the film.
So
but-
instead of the Gorman propaganda, the screen says Star Wars Holiday Special.
It's good. I like it. So
That's great. That's all the next one. Right.
infamously,
Caleb and I are sitting right next to each other, just screen peeking all my memes.
throughout the expanded universe, the Empire has too many TIE vehicles. Obviously, the original TIE Fighter, but they have way too many.
In this economy?
So this one is funny because it's like a TIE tank. There's actually a much funnier detail. I saw this in a video. This is from a video game. The stormtrooper inside is just a 2-dimensional JPEG, like on the window. I saw that as that's so good. Oh my gosh! Shut it down. That's the best meme we're ever gonna have on this. Oh my gosh! Incredible! Wow! So, as we all know, famous film actor and director Orson Welles, creator, star, and director of Citizen Kane, was the voice of, I'm going to forget his name, Unicron in the Transformers animated film, which is just a big planet-sized transformer. Someone has just taken a black and white image of Orson Welles' face and just made it the size of a planet. It's purely visual. It's so good, though. That is. Where did you find that?
I think I found it on Twitter.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Sorry, X formerly known as Twitter.
That's one of those. There's a meme format itself, which is how am I supposed to explain to my parents that this is funny? There's just some memes you just see it and you just get it, and trying to explain it doesn't do it justice. Well, none of my memes seem funny now, but
say that one to the end.
Yes, you should have. Classic meme format of Sheen from Jimmy Neutron is like shares a thing in show and tell, and the teacher's like, "This is the third time you've shown this," and it says Lucasfilm, and it's like, "This is a paramilitary group with French accents. Lucasfilm, this is the third time you've done this." You have the Gormans, but then you also have the Twi'leks, and also the French people from Skeleton Crew on the ruined planet. Yeah, so did I.
Ruined planet. It's just France. So this is that image of the two people on the bus where the person's smiling, seeing like the landscape, and the other person's by the wall. Being a rebel soldier in Rebels, being a rebel soldier in Andor.
So true. We get to go on like food runs. We get to have fun adventures. Yeah. So now I feel just dinosaur memes are totally fair game for this.
Oh, really?
You get to see the same sun that the dinosaurs saw. You ever think about that? No, you only think about yourself.
Who was made in God's image?
Not them. Not
At the
them.
very least, we don't have any scripture to say so.
They had their own Bible.
Those darn oral traditions, they get lost with giant meteorites. They don't tell you that in the advertising.
Jurassic Christ.
Don't you mean the Messianic period?
Nice. Very good. Nice.
Yeah.
2 comedy points for that one. That's
Oh, my
good.
goodness. Yeah, you can have a comedy point for Jurassic Christ. That's funny.
Thank you.
Keeping it real versus keeping it rail, and it's Lutheran Rail's two looks.
Nice. Very good.
next.
Keeping it real. What is becoming quickly a weekly tradition of Turgle memes.
Gosh.
It says news. It has a picture of Turgle, and it says Turgle found dead in Gorman. prayers to his friends and family. It's so good when you think something might actually be news.
See, the funny thing is I saw another meme that I didn't grab, and it was Turgle found dead in Boston.
Did I miss something? Was this on the podcast?
Turgle is from Jedi Survivor, the video game. He's kind of annoying, but some people love him.
He's just a Star
not
Wars
my favorite.
character.
Okay.
That's it. And this is an iconic image of him just right up in the camera.
If you don't love me at my, you don't deserve me at my, and it's Mon Mothma's final rebellion outfit versus the wedding outfit.
Yeah, nice.
Downgrade.
Luthen, Bix, you got to stop doing drugs. They're bad for you. Saw Gerrera, breathe in the fumes, my boy.
I saw that one.
I did like that scene. I'll say that about Andor. I really enjoyed that scene. Of course it did. It's great. Forrest Whitaker's great.
Forrest Whitaker, man.
Wilmo
my man.
is a C- character.
Yeah, I agree.
But Forrest Whitaker, he's killing it.
He's just there for Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker is AA, so he brings enough for Willman.
He's the curve. The great curve. So Stellan Skarsgård is also in Avengers. So it's it's a clip from him with the machine where he's like, she wants to show us something. A whole new universe. I wear a really cool trench coat and give great monologues. Referring to his DC Luthien rail, just kind of superimposed.
Oh,
Good.
interesting.
I like it. That's fun.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I haven't either. That's the biggest thing. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that Stellan Skarsgård
He's looking a
was
little
in
more-
Yeah, he's in Thor. He's in both Thor. He's naked in Thor 2 because he's
Yeah.
gone crazy.
Huh.
You also get to see Stellan Skarsgård's butt if you watch Mamma Mia.
There you go.
I guess
it is.
that's not a sales pitch. to
Oh, there's another
Mamma Mia,
good
then
Jurassic
what
Park
is.
quote. Oh, there it is. You have Palpatine and Luthen and Saw Gerrera and Darth Maul all having a thought bubble. Same thought. I can't wait for society to collapse so my ideology can rise from the ashes.
Wow. Domino effect. Marva adopting an orphan. Fall of the Empire.
Last meme. This is really just funny because this character's name is hilarious. I'll show you what this guy looks like also.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Blind reaction there. Going through the Rogue One visual guide post Andor has been so great because what do you mean Saw Gerrera's chief strategist is Bib Fortuna's cousin Beezer Fortuna? This man is Beezer Fortuna and he's Bib Fortuna's cousin. Anyways, that's my last meme.
I got 4 more, but I'll keep it quick.
Burn through them.
What the hell is going on in Chicago? And it's just a Star Destroyer over in downtown
Nice.
Chicago.
Very good.
It's one of my favorite memes. Okay, so this is the meme format with the factory that makes one thing for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah. I guess we're doing with this now.
Quote, Rex picking up a circle that says Order 66 in a sea of red triangles. An unknown order in the comms? How odd. I've never seen such a thing. I must inquire about
yeah.
this further with my supervisor post haste. Cody, I guess we killing Jedi now. Visual only. Pressing the button. Where Krennic puts his finger on top of Deidre's head.
That's good. I like it.
So, and the last one.
Makes me think of Adam.
Very, very good.
Do you know what this reference is?
I don't think so.
Well, Megan, I'm sorry. They don't understand your meme. But Megan sent this one. Death Star plans. That's Athena's automatic feeder. Death Star
Logi coming.
Death Star plans on my mission. It's more likely than you think. Free PC check. I won't say what it's actually referencing since
Okay.
no one else understands it.
Fair enough.
Not on record. That's it. Those are
That
13 of my
is
25
it.
memes.
As always, thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Props to Rachel for having 25 memes and deciding to cut them down and also coming with detailed notes
You're welcome.
about all the differences between the Jurassic Park film
Someone had to read it.
and novel. But also, genuinely, thank you for lending me your copy of the book.
You're welcome. Bring it back.
I forgot it. I will. I promise.
I have 2 copies, so.
Good thing Cameron hasn't been forgetting other things tonight.
Yeah, I've never forgotten a thing in
Oh,
my
she
life.
crunching.
Of course, as you can hear, her props to Athena for being a motorboat or a misfiring car.
Props to Cameron for our Facebook and Instagram that he ignores me on.
Let us know. What do you? Who's your favorite Jurassic Park character that dies a horrible death?
The T-Rex.
Does the T-Rex have a canonical name? It's the same T-Rex in like
Rexy.
every movie, isn't it?
Yeah, they call her Rexy in like the movies, but she doesn't really have it.
Yeah.
She was the
Trex.
same. Good for her. She's not the T-Rex that dies in Jurassic Park 3. That's a
That's right.
juvenile T-Rex, which we'll talk about later.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Don't worry, we've got 5 bad movies to talk about now. Phenomenal.
Thank you for having me on for the good one. I would probably
Yes.
have done
Thank you
the
for
other one.
coming.
Thank you, Caleb,
Thank you
for joining us.
actually
It's been a
traveling
blast
to a
having you
different
here.
region.
Yeah, well, thank
It's been
you.
an absolute blast having you here in Redacted City, visiting us from Dox
Redacted
City.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
This is Cameron and Rachel and their blood-sucking lawyer signing off. Plug my fridge back in.
Oh my gosh!